session before this meeting to discuss the student matter confidential under FERPA and potential litigation matters. Also, a quick reminder that I say at the beginning of every meeting that we are live streaming this via Zoom and that we are recording. Is anyone else recording this evening? Yes, thank you. And again, I ask for transparency reasons and not to give you permission, so I appreciate you letting me know that. Anyone else this evening? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Foltz. Appreciate that. All right, then I will now call to order the May 28th, 2026 meeting of the Palmyra Board of School Directors. Kindly stand with me here at full recite the pledge.
United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Prince, will you take the roll, please?
Andrew? Here. Fisher?
Here.
Guy? Here. Gilligan?
Here.
Baldwin?
Here.
Largo? Here. Martin?
Here.
Spondello? Steinbeck? Here. 8 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Moving on, next are the board minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes as distributed from the regular board meeting of May 14th?
Yes, I had a couple.
Yes,
questions.
Questions or changes?
Well, I think they're going to end up being changes. So as we walk through these, so on the looking through the minutes here, on the first vote on the amendment to the amended motion, it says here Mr. Andrew recused himself from voting. He's listed in the vote results as not cast. So I guess maybe for my clarification, what is the difference? Or is there one? And this might apply to the solicitor. So again, according to our policy 006, under abstention from voting, it says prior to the vote being taken, the school director shall verbally disclose the nature of the conflict in public and shall also provide the board secretary with a written memorandum stating the nature of the conflict, which shall be attached to the board minutes as a public record. So I don't recall a verbal reason for the not casting a vote, and looking in the minutes here, I also see a written memorandum.
There was one not necessary because there was no actual conflict of interest. He just abstained from voting. So that's why I didn't mention anything in the public meeting, because there was no legal requirement for that. We talked prior to that about, what a conflict of interest is, and under the law, there was no conflict here. So therefore, there was no reason to have any statement made.
If there's no conflict, then what would be the reason for the abstention?
That's a personal decision. We're allowed to do that. You're personally allowed to abstain from any vote you want to. There's no requirement under the law to state any reason for that or against that. And if I'm misspeaking, Mr. Solicitor, please correct me. I appreciate that if you would.
Sure, yeah. So the conflict of interest.
Give me a mic. I can hardly hear you.
Can hear ya.
All right.
We're getting the microphone. Thank you.
How about now? Good? All right. Yes, so conflict of interest in the Ethics Act has a very specific definition. That is, if you or your family, generally speaking, if you or your family are going to receive pecuniary benefit, if you're going to somehow make money or you have some monetary interest in the vote, that would be a conflict of interest, and the Ethics Act would require an abstention. In that case, yes, for capital CI conflict of interest, that reason would need to be recorded and reflected in the minutes. But yes, technically someone can abstain for a vote for any reason or no reason. But if it's not a conflict of interest in the sense of as it's defined for the policy for the Ethics Act, it wouldn't necessarily trigger that requirement.
Do you have any other
Thank you for
comments?
the clarification. Also, you had made a statement about public comment, which I weighed in on as well. And so I guess, again, I'd like some clarification here. So our policy, again, in 006, under public comment, section or item number 2, people who wish to address the board are asked to call the district office administrative assistant. It doesn't say shall, it doesn't say require, which would, again, when you look at our committee of the whole meetings, it does say you are required to sign up. So I guess, if there are people here tonight, who didn't sign up, like the list here, but who didn't sign up, are they going to be allowed to speak or not?
Well, I don't think that's really relevant to the minutes at this point. I can comment on that. I was going to say the visitor comment section, given the amount of passion and interest in these topics, I would allow further comment this evening because I don't want to limit that if there's something really important for someone to say here. However, we do have business to conduct as a board. So if it does go too long, I will have to defer it to a future meeting. But as far as the minutes are concerned, I'm not sure there's anything we need to address or change, but I do appreciate the question and the required explanation. The policy does, if you go on to look at the policy, it does say under number 2, under visitor comments on the agenda, the board will hear those who have signed up to speak. So there is a requirement to sign up to speak. So, but again, in the interest of fairness and allowing as many here as possible within the time limits we have, because this issue is I'm assuming most of you are here to speak about the same issue. So I don't want to limit that unfairly, but I do want to be able to balance the interest of us getting our business done, because the last week we had to table several things because it got too long. So we do have to balance those competing interests. But again, when there is a lot of passion around an issue, a lot of interest to speak, I don't want to unfairly limit that. But as far as what we were talking about in the minutes, I don't see that there needs to be any formal change to them to reflect that. Again, I can open the floor to the rest of you to see what you think of that, but
the minutes do specifically call out, Mrs. Martin also provided an update on the enforcement of board policy 006 meetings, which will begin at the next board meeting.
Correct. So, that's what I did say. So if there's a will of the board to change that, then we can certainly talk about that. Is that what you're trying to put forth?
I'm
change the language of that? Is that what you want to do, or
to me there is no change here. I'm not understanding the change in the enforcement here. To me, it seems clear there is no enforcement mechanism. We're asking the public. We're not requiring.
Well, I think what I'm hanging on is number 2, because it says under visitor comments on the agenda, the board will hear those who have signed up to speak. So the assumption is we don't hear those who don't sign up to speak. Otherwise, it wouldn't say that. So I think there is some confusion. I think we probably, best interest would be for us to reopen 903 again once we finish the changes we're already working on. And then we as a board can discuss any and all potential changes to that. If it's the will of the board that we want as many people to speak as possible, then that's what we can make that change. And I would suggest then under number 2, taking out that language, because right now it's very confusing, because your number 1 seems to suggest it's optional. Number 2 suggests it's not. So I would be definitely open to revisiting that policy again and changing, whatever the will of the board is.
Fair enough.
But as far as the minutes, I don't see a need to change those at this point unless I am.
Agree.
Okay.
With that last explanation, agree, yes.
Okay, is there any other issues you had with the minutes? Anyone else have any issues?
Just for clarification, then we are going to accept what minutes and those who have not signed up this evening.
I will this evening. Honestly, if there's so many here with so much passion about an issue, I think it is only out of an abundance of fairness to offer that. But again, if it gets very long, I'm going to have to cut it off at some point and move it to the next meeting, and so that we can accomplish everything we have on our agenda this evening. All right, if there's no more discussion, then if no more changes to the minutes as distributed, then I'm going to say the minutes are adopted as distributed. Next is Palmyra Pride. Dr. Kepler. And this is a Dr. Kepler initiative. He always brings the Palmyra Pride to us. I know I did help with bringing the bocce team. A parent had asked me about doing that in our video, but this is all Dr. Kepler's show, and so we want to turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. So, Elijah Fulton, come on up here, buddy. So as Elijah's walking up, we originally had him scheduled to be here in April. He communicated with us that he needed to reschedule, and we're thrilled to have you here tonight. So this young man, most of you know, I was a wrestler for 11 years, a lot of years ago, a lot of pounds ago. What I see in this young man is a locked-in student athlete. When I say locked in, he is focused, goal-oriented, and he's going to achieve what he's out to achieve. True definition of what wrestling is all about, and that's self-discipline. So this is me talking about my script, just about my observations of a young man who I'm very proud of as the superintendent. Locked in. So now for my script, like 8th place, the young man got on the podium. As he told us 2 weeks ago, nobody would have thought of that a year earlier, but he worked hard. Became the first Palmyra State medalist since 1988, while also achieving District 3 regional runner-up honors, won the Section 2 championship, placed as a Trojan Wars runner-up, and captured the Solanco Mule Classic championship. Elijah was a Keystone Division first team All-Star with an undefeated record in the Keystone, earning Mid-Penn Conference All-Star recognition, and finished the 25-26 season with 40 wins and only 6 losses. So stop right there for a round of applause. In closing, I think I've already really said, your dedication, perseverance, and excellence have brought pride and honor to Palmyra Wrestling. Congratulations on this season. Come on up here, Delaney. Just a few people here to see you. The league of Civics Bee. First of all, brand new for us in Palmyra participating in this. Thank the Chamber of Commerce, a new event, and we're thrilled first that you chose to participate. Participation in America's 250th anniversary year as well. Nothing more important than us understanding a little bit about civics. But the recognition tonight for earning second place in all of Lebanon County Civics Bee, advancing to the Pennsylvania State Civics Bee competition. And as a 7th grade middle school student, you demonstrated outstanding academic achievement, civic knowledge, and dedication, and you represented our community with pride and distinction. I have a question for you. Did they ask you questions? What was the toughest question you were asked?
Just that, like, the hardest thing would be convincing of the law.
Okay. It's a pretty important thing. We read about it in the paper, we see it in the news. The world would be a better place if we could convince everybody of that. So, Delaney, we're proud of you. Thanks for representing Palmyra.
Mr. Carroll. Okay. I've gotten to know Mr. Carroll a little bit, and I have a feeling you prefer not to get all this attention right now, but having gotten to know him as a teacher and as a human, he deserves every second, so please come on up. On Friday, April 24th, Mr. Carroll was surprised in his classroom at Ford Road Elementary with a presentation recognized him as the distinguished recipient of the Lebanon Borough Credit Union's Teacher of the Year Award. I love watching his 3rd grade students because they were surprised. They were so into the project we had them doing that their attention was mixed between this awesome art project and joyfully celebrating the teacher that they love. So this award's a great honor. There are actually 77 nominations throughout the county by parents, co-workers, and community members. In addition to the certificate that we have here, he also got a trophy and a $1,000 check for himself and for the school district and being for its supplies. So this honor reflects Mr. Carroll's outstanding dedication, leadership, positive impact on students in the community. This commitment to excellence in education brings pride to Elmira. So please join me in recognizing.
I'm sharing a personal tidbit. One of my sons that graduated from Elmira, not to make you feel old, makes me feel old. He's my middle son, he's 23 years old. I think in third grade at Forge Road Elementary many years ago, Mr. Carroll had some type of competition. I don't remember all the details, but motivated students to do their own art projects, and the more they did, I think you threw out something to them. You would do an art project, something they wanted. And in my home, I still have a drawing related around the Pittsburgh Steelers because you motivated my son, who has no artistic ability at all. Okay. So we thank you personally for that motivating our kids. We see it every day. Well deserved. Our high school math team. Mr. Rafi, folks, come on up here. Mr. Rafi has a T-shirt that says, "I love," something about making kids cry in math.
It says, "I love math," it makes people cry.
Okay. Talking about math. All right. Are you prepared? Yes. You've prepared well. This group of students represents the best and the brightest that we have to offer at Elmira High School. Fantastic academic students, but as I see and I know these students, better quality human beings than just math academic students. But tonight we're recognizing you for your outstanding dedication, academic excellence, and competitive achievements throughout this math team season. You worked hard, teamwork, you committed, represented Elmira with pride, and had exceptional performances at regional university competitions and brought honor to our school community. Congratulations on an incredible season. And I know there were many different accolades. Mr. Rafi, do you mind if I put you on the spot about some of the performances, the specifics?
Sure. We competed in over 8 competitions at several universities. Sometimes it was a group of 4, sometimes a group of 8. One of their top accolades, if you will, is that we placed in the top 5 out of every single competition we were at. Sometimes there were over 200 students, over 50, 60 schools. It's phenomenal, just phenomenal. Sometimes we took individual accolades, winning first place in a couple of the events, second place in events, and just that perseverance and grit is what we do in and out of the classroom. So proud of it.
Yeah. When we talk a lot about our students, these are kids that don't typically struggle academically, but to be pushed in a math classroom where you feel discomfort, and this is hard. Believe it or not, it's a wonderful thing to have it while you're in high school, centered around by a teacher that cares, centered around the support of your family, so that when you go off to your next step, you're accustomed to that working hard, working through trials and tribulations. But you're the best that we have to offer at Elmira, we're pretty proud of you. So when you're not all here tonight, when I say your name, you can just give a quick wave so we people in the audience can identify you. So, Belinda Baker, Jackson Barger, Peyton Bergeron, Lucas Weisslein, Anna Crawford, Bailey Grissinger, Jace Hawley, Thaddeus Martinet, Alfred Naziri, and Alex Lee.
As you see from tonight, we have pretty awesome teachers and pretty amazing kids. So this last group is another group of amazing students. Definitely that circus mindset for our big brothers, big sisters. Please come forward. So a little bit more big sisters tonight. So we're proud to celebrate 30 remarkable high school juniors and seniors who proved big brothers and big sisters have stepped into the roles of mentors, inspiring and supporting elementary and middle school students. This last year is the first time we did K-8. So these students are providing so much for our younger students. Through their leadership, they not only provide academic support and serve as positive role models to their mentees, but also help build confidence and a sense of belonging. As high school mentors, these students gain invaluable skills in communication, responsibility, and empathy. These meaningful relationships not only serve the mentor and mentee, but also have the potential to enhance their school culture and strengthen our community at large. So, does anybody want to share any experience they had, anything they gained from doing this?
I mentored first and second grade at Pine Street, and honestly, it was a great experience. It allowed me to create like such a great connection and allowed me to gain those skills of dealing with kids. I want to be pediatric first, so it just kind of, it just helped me a lot more. So.
All set. Anybody else have anything to add? No pressure.
I mentored a fifth grader here at Langone, Cousin with Grace on Baby Nutrition, so it's great to see him grow his self-confidence over our meetings. I also did a fifth grader from Forge Elementary, and you would be shocked to see how much it helps their self-confidence and how much it helps them grow over time, even if you only mentor them for a couple of weeks.
No pressure now, right? I'm just impressed by how well spoken all of you are. So thank you for what you did. I'm going to read all the names, but if you are here, you can step forward and wave for this crowd that came to see you. So Grace Blau, Nautica Brunel, Owen Clark, Ella Clements, Savannah Devitz, Bella Fedor, Alana Frawley, Matthew Fuertes, Amelia Hummel, Maddie Kishel, Mia Knight, Kate LaChance, Emily Loudermilk, Tracy Lynn, Sophia McGowan, Sarah McNamara, Gianna Lele, Ava Morgan, Haley Murphy, Nayantha Patel, Avery Reyes, Samantha Seeger, Manny Simmons, Sierra Skipper, Justin Skarzynski, Aubrey Smith, Olivia Spencer, Skylar Willie, John York, Riley Zedmore. Awesome.
So we do not have the girls on the run.
We do have the girls on the run.
Okay, I have it on my agenda, but I thought maybe you all would change that, so.
Yeah, I knew our girls on the run, folks, are many. So we didn't invite them because we wouldn't have room. But we have certificates for all the participants, and we just wanted to recognize them today. The Girls on the Run has expanded to multiple buildings across the elementaries, which we're proud of that. Because again, it's more than the physical nature of the run. They learn so much more about themselves, about one another, working together collaboratively, encouraging one another, much like a sport, but at a young age in a non-competitive venue. And we're proud of our teachers and support staff that volunteer their time to run. Maybe I should join them a little bit. I don't know. But running after school and working with these kids on things outside the classroom. It's like we do with every employee we try to hire when we're working with teachers or support staff. How can you impact kids beyond math, science, reading, writing, what have you? And then Girls 101 signifies that for us. So we have certificates for all those students. We just didn't wait them tonight, so just based on sheer volume across 4 elementary schools. So we thank them too.
Yeah, that's a great program. Thank you, Dr. Kemper. Okay, next we'll move on to the President's report. My first announcement is very, very exciting. I'm very excited to read this statement that we've come up with. The Palmyra Area School District and the Palmyra Area Education Association are pleased to announce that they have reached an agreement on a new 3-year contract that runs through August 31st, 2029. The current contract expires on August 31st, 2026, and the district and association engaged in successful negotiations to reach this agreement. The contract is on our agenda tonight for formal approval. All the members of the Education Association, I was told overwhelmingly, approved the contract last night. This is a huge accomplishment, and I would like to thank the teacher negotiation team, the administration, and the board negotiation team, which included Mr. Guy, Mr. Louderbrook, and myself, for all their hard work and collaboration to get us across the finish line before the end of the school year. I thought that was a really great achievement to be able to push that through before they take. The district also plans to issue a formal press release that will outline a little more of the terms of the agreement. And then last, lunch debt. We've continued to work on that. Ms. Bonanno's here tonight, and she has brought a lot of interest to this item of some of the needs of our district that maybe haven't been touched by the social work fund or are just outstanding here. And I've really appreciated her kind of spearheading this. And just one more addition to the outstanding lunch debt, I have been kind of working other businesses in the district, and I got a commitment from Grocery Outlet in Palmyra here this week to help out with the lunch debt. So I'm going to pick up a check from them next week. So we just give them a still outstanding debt if anyone is willing to donate and help with outstanding lunch debt for our students, because we never turn away the students from any meals. So whether they can afford it or not. So there is a significant outstanding lunch debt left. If anyone can help with that, please contact administration, or you can send in a check to the district that just has lunch debt on the line item. So thank you for considering that and helping out our students. So next we'll move on to visitor comment, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boland, our solicitor, first to make a brief comment before we get started.
Sure. So my understanding is that a lot of you are here with great interest to the wrestling issue, the wrestling team issue. I just wanted to know that due to threatened litigation, the board is limited as to what it intends to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boland. So now we're going to begin the visitor comments. We are going to, as I mentioned earlier, open it up to allow others to speak if there is some. Can we just keep it down for a minute so we can get moving forward? Thank you. Thank you. So we are going to work through the list of all those that have signed up in advance, and we'll start at the top and work our way down. As you recall from those who have been here before, we will give you 5 minutes, and at the 30-second mark, I will give you kind of a heads up that your time is running out. So to wrap up your time, you cannot donate your time to anyone else or speak again. So we're going to just limit it to that. And then once we've worked through the list, we will open it up if there is additional comments that are not overly repetitive in nature. Like I said, beginning of this meeting, we want to be able to finish our business as well too. This is a meeting of the board in public, not a town hall or a public meeting. So we will not be really engaging in any kind of dialogue with you, but we do want to hear what you have to say, and we will be listening with utmost respect. And so I do ask our board to maintain their professionalism and their decorum when we're listening. And a reminder that if we're not reacting or applauding, it's not because we don't agree or disagree. We agree or disagree with you. It's just because we are listening with our respect. So let's take order in which we signed up. So Miss Kristen Hubbard, you will be first. Come on up to the podium, please. You have a lovely assistant this evening. Thank you. I don't know. Mr. Francis from Micron. Can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
You're good. You're good now.
Thank you. That's good. Oh,
Thank you.
and let me know when you're ready and I'll start your time. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. I remember last time, I think you said you were in education, correct? I was. Okay, so kind of explained your visuals. All right, thank you. You can start your time now.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Kristen Hubbard. My daughter currently attends Cougar Academy here, online program. I have a background in education. I was a kindergarten teacher, and I was also an instructional technology specialist from K to 8 in a charter school. This time I have run into some issues that I want to bring to your attention. The last time I know you listened, and I appreciate that. I'm hoping that you will hear me again tonight. I wanted to talk about some health risks and insufficient supplies to complete assignments that we've run into this year with this new current program. So I wanted to bring your attention to page 2, if you would. We've been given a lot of great hands-on activities to do this year. The first one was design your own ziggurat, which was exciting. It involved popsicle sticks, and as you can see by our photo, my daughter takes her work very seriously. She really enjoys these. The problem is we don't find out till the day that it's due. So I open the project, I see, oh my goodness, you have to build a ziggurat, and you have to write a 100-word essay on it, and you have to do it today. Finish it, complete it, hand it in, upload it to your teacher, and you can't move on to the next lesson until it's complete. So sometimes I'm actually stuck. I have a disclaimer here. I have to submit to her teachers. So he is unable to move on in her lessons until a submission is uploaded. So this is a space saver. So then we have to go in, re-upload the finished product so that she can continue moving on. To stay on track, which has been such a difficulty this year. Then I'm going to go back to number 3. This was our next assignment. It was to write a poem or several about themes of ancient Persia. So we did that. We had these great directives. She had to write on parchment paper. She had to come up with the poem, she had to design it, she had to revise it, edit it, final product, that whole thing. Then came the art project part. You crumple it up, make it look old, and then you're supposed to do this marbling technique to it. So my daughter was asked to go get paint thinner and oil-based paints, cups, and a big vat. Essentially something probably this size or larger. My daughter was asked to basically have a science experiment in our kitchen. It didn't tell you to wear gloves, ventilation, typical things that you would use with paint thinner. That would just seem to make sense. But they didn't tell the kids that. And if I hadn't told her that, I don't know if she would know that either. So she was asked to take paint thinner and paint, put it in a cup, mix it around, get the right texture, take a big vat, fill it with water, and dump it on top. And if it didn't come out good enough, she was asked to add more paint and more paint thinner and keep going and adding paint thinner, as you can see in the directions that it says, until she got the desired effect. And then dump it in here and then place the paper in it on top to get this really cool marble effect, which essentially is a great idea. So I wrote to the school about it. And they let me know that, well, here, I'll show you the final project. We had to AI it because I wasn't about to let her use paint thinner. So the bottom picture on 3.5 is kind of what the idea should have looked like. So this art project should have come out like that. So I emailed the school and I figured if you're gonna complain about something, then you should give some resources and ideas. Because I didn't want to go to them just say, this is wrong, I don't like this, it's not safe, it's toxic. So I came up with some ideas. You can use acrylic paints thin with water, which gives you the same effect without using anything toxic. You can come up with water mixable oils that don't even require chemical solvents, or sometimes they use just shaving cream and food coloring on top of the water, and you get the same effect. I found that to be a safe and reasonable idea to give to these students because I didn't want my student doing it, and I don't really want other students doing it. And honestly, I can't imagine if there's
anyone here wanting to do that either. So I went to them and they had told me that I should
go on Amazon and buy not toxic paint thinner, which if anyone can Google on that, it says that that is also really not the best idea. Even though it says non-toxic, the fumes and everything that it emits is really not safe either. That again, project was due in 1 day from top to finish. Then on page 5, sorry, nope, I'll be back. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Reggins.
I'll start by, no, you're fine. Please do not hurry. Please do not hurry. I just had knee surgery yesterday.
Oh my God.
So I'm not feeling very well, but I'll do my best.
Oh, I'm very impressed at how humble you are. You had the surgery yesterday.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, you two, are you ready?
I start my own timer too.
Sure.
So
Tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
At the last meeting, President Martin, you said your vote against our wrestling coaches was based on multiple policy violations and student safety. My husband's attorney already provided a detailed letter explaining why the cited policies were not violated, so please read it. But I'm speaking tonight about student safety. I understand that certain policies exist to protect children. As a former competitive gymnast, I unfortunately know what happens when adults in authority fail to protect kids. But policies meant to protect children can also cause harm when misapplied, weaponized, or enforced without context. And context matters. We all know Corey Andrew filed these policy complaints after the coaches benched his son for poor conduct. That timing matters. But beyond timing, there's a bigger issue. None of these so-called policy concerns made kids less safe. In fact, the facts show the opposite. First, Jonathan and I made vitamin C available to help keep the wrestlers healthy during flu season if they wanted it. The cited policy refers to medication. Vitamin C is a vitamin, not medication. And if the district suddenly wants vitamins included in that policy, we will respect that. But no policy was violated and no child was made unsafe by that good faith decision to make vitamin C available during flu season. Second, social media. I understand why student communication policies exist. They're meant to protect students from adults with bad intentions. They are not meant to twist encouraging comments and responsible coaching guidance into a student safety concern, especially on a team Instagram account where multiple people had access and visibility. One example was Jonathan sending Mr. Andrew's son a message asking him to change the song on a wrestling clip because it was explicit. That is not a safety issue. That is a coach correcting poor judgment and holding a student to a higher standard. Third, transportation. At the January board meeting, a mother spoke through tears about Jonathan driving her son to buy flowers for Mother's Day because his own father was absent. I was there. That child was more than safe. He was cared for. The pride on his face when he bought that bouquet for his mom is something I'll never forget. That moment wasn't danger. It was a child being seen and supported by adults who cared. Again, we understand why the policy exists. But if you were driving down an isolated road at night and saw a student sitting alone near the edge of the road crying with no cell service and no way to call a parent, would you drive by because of policy? I don't believe you would. That's my point. Policies matter, but so do circumstances, intent, judgment, and humanity. Finally, the allegation that bothers me most. The claim that Jonathan failed to report an alleged sexual assault 4 years ago. I hate repeating those words because they make the situation sound like something it wasn't. 4 years ago, a student took a photo of another student sleeping on the bus en route to a match. The student was bundled in winter gear. That's it. Multiple mandated reporters were there and took the matter seriously. Jonathan reported it to the athletic director as a heads up. After it was addressed, there was no suspicion that anything requiring further report had occurred. As a teacher, Corey is a mandated reporter himself. If he genuinely believed this was reportable, he was obligated to do so then, and he didn't. So either he failed in his own duty, or he knew there was nothing to report until it became useful to him years later. If that isn't student exploitation and a danger to children, I don't know what is. As an actual survivor of sexual assault, I don't say this lightly. Weaponizing the reporting structure designed to protect victims is dangerous. It wastes resources, creates skepticism around genuine reports, and makes actual victims afraid to come forward. And that is what makes this board's recent actions so dangerous. Child protection policies are supposed to shield children from harm, not be turned into weapons against the people actually protecting them. So if student safety is truly your concern, then the answer is not to punish good coaches who created a safe environment. It is not to twist child protection language for personal gain. That's why I'm asking Corey to recuse himself from voting. I'm asking this board to actually support student safety by voting to rehire Jonathan as the head wrestling coach. Not because Jonathan needs this job. He doesn't. But because these kids need coaches who will guide them, challenge them, protect them, discipline them when needed, and care enough to expect more from them. Thank you.
Ready?
I am.
Make sure you speak it.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight. I've put a lot of thought over the last 2 weeks into what I wanted to say. I understand that school boards are sometimes required to make difficult decisions. I do believe that policies matter, accountability matters, and student safety matters. But I also believe that fairness, transparency, proportionality, and public trust matter. Many people in this community are struggling not only with the outcome of the decision regarding Coach Reckitt's contract, but with the lack of clarity surrounding how the decision was made. One of the most concerning aspects of this situation is how unclear the process has been to the public. Community members have heard different explanations regarding how this decision was presented, what recommendations were made, and what options were available to the board. When a decision has this much impact on students and families and an important school program, the community should be able to understand the process behind it. Right now, many people do not. The board president stated that we cannot have a different standard for coaches than we do for teachers. I agree with that principle. But as I stated 2 weeks ago, in schools, concerns about policy or conduct are typically addressed proportionally. Staff members are often given the opportunity for corrective action, guidance, improvement plans, oversight, or opportunities for accountability and growth. That's how strong institutions normally function. Many families are struggling to understand why this situation appeared to leave no path towards correction, accountability, or reconciliation. What I'm asking you to consider today is to find a path forward where policies of safety are valued and upheld, and a relationship with a committed coach can be restored. School boards play an important role in oversight and policy leadership. Administrators are also entrusted with evaluating personnel, managing programs, and seeing to the day-to-day needs of the students and staff. When decisions like this are made without clear communication or visible consistency in process, public trust suffers. When public trust suffers,
The entire school community feels it. Because the process has been so unclear, many community members have been left with questions about how this decision was reached. At the center of any decision school boards make are the students. Every parent hopes that their child will find mentors that challenge them, support them, and advocate for them. This issue is personal for many families, including mine. My son is entering an important stage in the recruiting process as he pursues opportunities with Division I service academies. Coaches play a critical role in mentoring students and advocating them during these moments. That's why decisions like this matter beyond wins and losses. These relationships can have lasting impacts on students' confidence, their opportunities, and their future. This community is not asking for perfection. We're asking for fairness. We're asking for transparency. We're asking for consistency and sound judgment in decisions that affect students and programs. Regardless of where people stand on this particular decision, I hope the board reflects carefully on the message that this process has sent to students, families, staff, and the broader community. Many questions have been left unanswered. Trust matters. We want to trust our elected officials. And rebuilding that trust begins with clarity, consistency, and accountability to the community you serve. I ask that you carefully consider being the concerns that have been expressed 2 weeks ago and tonight by students, families, and community members, and the value that Coach Regetz has brought to this program and its students. Thank you. Thank you. Ready?
I'm ready, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Before I do get started, I want to thank Alicia Haldeman. She took time out of her day this week to speak with me. I sent an email to several board members after last meeting and wanted to sit down with some of them, and I would appreciate Alicia taking that time to come down and sit with me. She was able to answer some of my questions. I was able to hear her thoughts on things, and I got a better understanding on things, and hopefully she got a better understanding of where I was as well. That went a long way with me, so I appreciate that. Getting to what I want to say here, I may have said this before, but I want to repeat it again. I've known Coach Regetz, I've known Coach Wyman for years. I've never felt uneasy or unsafe to have my children around either of them. My wife and I have always been protective of our children and have kept them away from people we've had concerns with. I stand before you to say that I have full confidence that both coaches are people I trust and truly believe to have the best interest of my child at the center of what they do as coaches in the Palmyra Wrestling program. To the board, I want you to understand many of us here are here because we feel like a disservice has been done to our wrestling community. I would ask that you put yourself in our shoes as a wrestling parent. We were not given a vote, nor were we consulted in this process. If you had a child who was involved in something they were passionate about and had big dreams that they were working to achieve, and they had mentors who were fighting not only for them, but with them and believing in them, pushing them to achieve those goals, only to have that taken away from them when you as a parent had no say in that matter. You too may be upset as well and willing to fight for your child. That's why many of us have been here several meetings this year. We're here to show our support to these coaches and to fight for our wrestlers. It is important to us. This world has a shortage of good coaches and mentors. People are not lining up to coach and donate so much of their time to what can sometimes be a thankless position. Maybe you on the board can relate. There doesn't seem to be a line of people signing up to be on the school board either. That doesn't mean that it's not important. But there is a big sacrifice that comes along with that. They spend time away from their day jobs, spend time away from their families to help these boys, not only throughout the season, but all year long. They're involved with these children or these kids' lives. Just like, we don't need perfect coaches. There is no such thing. Just like there is no perfect school board director, administrator, or parent. We need coaches who are advocates for our kids and who will fight for them alongside them. We had these coaches, and now our community is fighting to have them reinstated. Tonight, I want to be part of the solution. I hate that we are here as this inside of our community. I feel like it is a service to our school district and to the boys on our wrestling program. My request is to have a do-over for all parties involved. I would ask that the administration, the board, and the wrestling coaches meet together. This is something that has not happened ever since everything started earlier this year. I do not believe the policy violations deserve the dismissal of the coaching staff. As a parent, I respectfully ask that the coaches be reinstated or rehired, however the board and administration agree to have it done. If the board administration would want parent involvement, my wife or myself or both of us would be willing to be part of those meetings. Our wrestling community feels strongly about this issue. It has impacted our families. It is my hope that people can come together with open minds and work to a resolution so that we can put this behind us. Thank you.
I just want to thank the first couple of speakers. You've been very respectful. It's a very different tone this meeting than it was last meeting. And I just want to thank you for that civic discourse that's been going so far. And I really want to just thank you for that. Appreciate it. Mrs. Wyden. Let me know when you're ready. Ready? Okay.
One of the board members had stated, I don't represent just the people in this room, I represent the entire district. Well, you do represent us in the entire district. When in all your school board meeting years have you ever had over 100 people at your meetings that care about something passionately? The Sun last week, the Sun meeting, the newspaper, had some really interesting points. One by one, the grapplers in a dual meet, speakers took center stage at Palmyra's school board meeting to make impassioned pleas for the 2 high school wrestling coaches whose contracts were expected not to be renewed. The meeting held on Thursday, May 14th, was packed with supporters of Cougars head coach John Riggins and his assistant Josh Weidman. Later on in the article it says, but what specific violations were made? This question was never clearly answered in the course of the meeting, nor was it answered when coaches were suspended over the winter for the same policy violations. But multiple speakers took aim at the board member, Corey Andrews, whose son was a senior on the team last winter. Andrews was singled out because of initial coaching suspensions. They came almost directly following the team's discipline of his son for unsportsmanlike conduct. Well, I don't know if you know this, but whether this was planned or not, it seems like there are so many things going down that it was planned that these violations were not mentioned. Do you realize that there have been kids in school, I'm talking about middle school kids, they think the coaches are handing out drugs to kids. Oh, I wouldn't vote for that coach. He's giving drugs to kids because they don't know what's going on. I've had people approach me and say, oh my goodness, these guys must be sexual offenders, or they must have stole $20,000 from their booster club for all these things that they seem to have done, and how everybody is accusing them of all these things. Because this was not clear, it is interesting, and I didn't know what the people were going to say ahead of me, how Jill Ricketts, she lists them all, how the next person talks about these violations. I'm going to go back to the Sun, where Jill Ricketts talks about these men. If anyone now is trying to push these coaches out, it's not because our coaches failed or that they lack leadership or because of community. Not just these people in this room. I'm talking about the community of Palmyra, who you represent. Not because they lost faith in them. They did everything a great coaching staff is supposed to do and everything this program desperately needed. Josh Weidman says, John and I have made no secret about our intentions as coaches for the Palm City Palmer Pinners. We promote excellence for our wrestling team and for individuals in our program on the mat, in the classroom, and their personal lives. John Ricketts says, I'm fighting for the kids I love. I'm fighting because I believe with every fiber of my being that goodwill will eventually trump over evil. 30 seconds. My point is this. Where can you find two better men doing outstanding jobs than they're doing? Palmyra School Board should be celebrating them like those other people that were here. You know, we tell our kids, if you see something, say something. We are all here saying something. You are not representing us. I don't know who is pushing for this, but it's wrong.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready?
Oh,
Maybe not.
maybe not.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Jim Wyden. I'm here to support a renewed interest in renewing the contracts of those wrestling coaches whose contracts have not been renewed. Before I go into that, though, wasn't it great to see our young people honored tonight? Wasn't it great to see their accolades? Wasn't it great? Great to see and hear about the teacher honored. I was quite impressed because as I heard Nathan Carroll being honored, I read what it said. It said his outstanding dedication, leadership, positive impact on students and community. Commitment to excellence in education. Seems I've heard that somewhere before. Maybe even tonight a few times. Folks, I tried very hard over the last 5 months to be civil and positive and reinforcing. So please bear with me as I go through some things. And please feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect. 20 wins, 5 losses. I'm told that's the best in Palmyra high school history. Guess that's correct. 9 out of 13 wrestlers went to the regional tournament, qualified for the regional tournament. I'm told that's the best in Palmyra wrestling history? 10. Thank you for the correct. With 3 state qualifiers in the Pennsylvania State Tournament, and wrestling is no joke in Pennsylvania if you don't know that. That's the first time ever. It's the best for Palmyra wrestling. 1 state place winner. First time in 31 years. First time in the state team competition. 44% of the wrestlers on the varsity wrestling team would qualify to be academic All-Americans. Boy, I'll tell you what, that sounds a whole lot like Nathan Carroll, commitment to excellence. Can't believe it doesn't sound like that to 5 of you. Can't believe that you don't hear outstanding dedication, leadership, positive impact to students and the community. Oh, forgive me. This award for Nathan, I think, is outstanding. Lebanon Federal Credit Union Teacher of the Year. I mean that sincerely. Teachers don't get, well, they don't get rewarded enough. The 2 men that I want you to reconsider hiring were voted outstanding head wrestling coach in all of District 3. And his assistant was the outstanding assistant coach in all of District 3. And that encompasses 7 or 8 counties. That's a pretty significant territory.
30 seconds.
Folks, I think it's a travesty at what's going on, as do many people here, and several of you. I'm really concerned for Nathan Carroll because the composition of this board might indicate that his contract may not be renewed.
Put the mic down with the screen.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not here as a board member, but as a son of Palmyra. Resident for 79 years. There have been guides in this county or this area since the 1750s. I come before you with a heavy heart and a lot of concern. Mr. Joseph Farrell spoke last time of a conflict that tore apart the Palmyra School District 35 years ago. At that time, as the father of 2 sons, a history teacher, first vice president of the Teachers Association, and then the president, I found myself in the middle of this conflict. It has had a major impact on my life and how I look at what's happening. Last few months, it's been bringing back nightmares of what we went through in the 1960s. My fear, and this is true, there are people living in this district today who have not spoken in 35 years. Regardless of where we stand on any of these issues, I pray and will try very hard to simply have a cooler mind and stay under control. I hope and pray that we all can work out our difficulties. God bless our students. God bless the Clavere School District.
Microphone, okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Tell me when you're ready. Okay, go ahead. I want to express my gratitude to all the school board members who supported our wrestling community and everyone who's here tonight as well. Both of my sons are wrestlers, and Ellie is going to be a freshman and Alex is going to be a senior next school year. After the last board meeting, we went home and I stayed with my son Alex until he fell asleep around 1:30 a.m. He was so sad and confused. How can he love and hate at the same time? My son trained with Corey's son Aaron and Evan in the past couple of years. They are friends, cheering for each other, hanging out together, having sleepovers, celebrate birthdays, and now are being destroyed everything. My son is only 17, but he's already disgusted by how adulthood looks. Wrestling practices are incredibly tough sessions. The training aims to develop them into good wrestlers, excellent team players, and better individuals. When my son comes home and he heads straight to the shower, sometimes he manages to make it to his room afterwards, but other times he just crashes in the closest room from the shower. Those wrestling practices our boys attend are tough. They face beatings from the opponent and sometimes get hurt, but they don't give up. They keep training, hoping that their hard work will pay off one day and they will win their next wrestling match. 4 days ago at the National Wrestling Tournament in Virginia Beach, my son was about to lose his match with only a minute left on the clock. Suddenly his leg got injured and the nurse rushed over to help him stretch it so he could continue. Coach Regetz, who could have started preparing the next wrestler, instead went out to check on my son. As the clock ticked down, there were only 45 seconds left in the match. My son stood up, continued his match, and pinned his opponent and won his match. Thank you, Coach Regetz. The coaches, instead of staying home, celebrating the holiday weekend with friends and family, choose to travel to Virginia at their own expense and their own time, just to be there for the boys. Coach Regetz is not only coaching on the mat, but also helping in their everyday life. He noticed that my son's talent for barbering and contacted with our community's well-known and respected barber, Bobby, at Yeaters. Soon my son will graduate from high school and have his barber license at the same time. Even the state board investigation officer congratulated to our coach on his support. The team, the coaches, and us parents all have to follow the rules. During matches and competitions, I'm required to sit on the bleachers. So when my son wins his match, his coaches are the first who give him hugs. And when my son gets hurt, injured, or loses his match, his coaches are the first to approach him and offer their support or even an uplifting prayer. Thank you, Coach Weidman. Now that means everything to a mother watching from the bleacher. And I'm very satisfied with our coaches and their achievements. Our boys' coaches are like four-leaf clovers, hard to find and lucky to have. I am not a coach. I only see two boys on the wrestling mat, each with 2 arms and legs, and these are the coaches who train them how to use those arms and legs. Those young wrestlers will grow up to become young men that most fathers wish their daughters would bring home one day. The Palmyra Cougars wrestling team and the coaches are training hard to compete in wrestling from local to national levels. But who would ever thought the toughest match they have to face is against their very own school board? In the United States, we don't fix things until they're broken. and the Palmyra wrestling team is definitely doing well. 30 seconds. Thank you. Our Palmyra wrestling team and coaches are back on the mat. The team are noticeable. In fact, did you know Pennsylvania is widely considered the #1 state for high school wrestling in our country? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Ford. I've been a teacher in Pennsylvania for 5 years, been a coach for 7 years. Before that, I worked construction and restaurant management. I'm also a parent of 2 children in this district, one of whom is a student athlete. I'm fortunate that my son has the chance to be around one of our coaches. I know he'll be around a good man, a great parent, and an excellent coach. I know he'll come home happy, safe, and having had fun. I know these are the things that matter. As both a parent and an educator, I can speak with some authority on what it looks like when students are in a healthy, safe environment. Right now, we are cheating our student athletes, and we have to ask ourselves, what lesson are we actually teaching them? Because make no mistake, they are learning. And the lesson we're modeling appears to be, if you don't like something, cheat. Undermine others. Get your way at any cost. Every morning when I take my kids to school, I ask them the same question. What's the golden rule? They answer quickly because they know it matters. Above everything else, it's the #1 rule in my classroom. Be kind. So I ask the board, what example are you setting? Why is this the goal of tonight's meeting and all its speakers? We have real issues to address. We need full-day kindergarten, better pay for teachers and all the support staff, resources our students actually need. Because believe me, you're fooling yourselves if you think the staff aren't spending their own money with no hope for return to make your kids feel loved and appreciated. Those are worth this room's energy. Stand down what seems like a vendetta. Pettiness and backroom politics have no place in a community that asks its children to be better. You can do better simply by doing what we expect of every kid in this district. Don't be a jerk, be kind. One final reminder, election day is coming. Thank you.
Ralph DeCamps, Londonderry. I am a former school board member here. You like to lecture us, Mrs. Martin, about how we're not well behaved, how you can do this, you can do that, how you have a job, and there may be too many speakers. I'm going to make one suggestion. You guys have one job today. Right there. You don't listen to the community. Why are you here? You're following your own agendas. I remember you, Mrs. Martin, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, you'd sit behind me at board meetings. I would sit behind Mr. Jones, and you'd be chirping in my ear. And yet you lecture us on, don't do that. I think that's hypocritical. Mr. Guy, it was nice seeing you last night. Frank Ryan, former state rep for Palmyra, along with a couple of other state legislators, were doing their property tax elimination. Short on facts, short on math, lots of lies. Frank Ryan came here to the board when he was first elected, told us we were doing a great job, great stewards of the public's money. Next day he was on Laura LeBeau telling them what a crap job we were doing, how we were profligate spenders. Frank hasn't improved. Neither have you folks. This letter, some people say he's a New Jersey attorney, but you can look him up. Just like I can look you up, Mrs. Martin. His license is active, yours isn't, but you did work as a lawyer for a while, so I think you would be very well advised to read this. All of you would be very well advised to read this letter from the attorney, because I'm no lawyer, but I can see like 7 or 8 major issues. Mr. Boland's going to be very happy if he gets the case, because he's going to be able to meet all his billing hours. Mr. Connell from the insurance company's law firm is going to be very happy, because he's going to get a lot of hours defending you guys for doing dumb things. This letter kind of opened my eyes a little more in terms of what the issues were. Namely, there was no sexual assault involved. Yet one of you on this board made an allegation, which apparently was false, and was used in retaliation. We all know who I'm looking at, right, Mr. Andrew? This is something for which you should be resigning from the board. Yeah. I'm going to give you a week.
Yep, okay, go ahead. So I was really worried that I was going to miss my opportunity to speak, because I came straight from my coaching job at a large high school down the street. Thankfully, I have an administration that fully supports the coaches and actually praises their coaches that have and enforce strict guidelines and expectations of our athletes. So, coach, you guys are experiencing a lot of heat, all because you're concerned for our athletes. Safety is your top priority, and I am so appreciative of that. Since safety is your top priority, we should all be witnessing a motion for immediate renovations for the wrestling room. Is that correct? I know it might not happen tonight because Ms. Martin likes to draw plans for our school and renovations and space that we want to add on. But I have brought emails that head coach Regetz has emailed you guys with the dimensions that would be safe for our team. Currently, our measurements for our room is 37 feet and 7 inches by 47 feet and 2 inches. That is substantially, that is 33 feet short from what is considered safe for a program our size. I know some of you are interested in hearing us speak to you, so that is why I provided these emails. Coach Regetz received the appropriate sized room dimensions from the executive director of the, I'm trying to get it right, the National Coaches Association. Is that right? Okay, so it's not just made up numbers. So whoever wants it, it's highlighted. So you don't have to read all of the words. It's highlighted. The yellow is our current size. Green is what it should be. And then, again, I know we like to compare our school district to those surrounding areas. He's also included what Hershey gets to wrestle. They get to wrestle in a 42 by 80 foot room. Lower Dauphin gets a 50 foot by 120 foot room. And those are ones that we actually wrestle against. So that should make you very happy. So as much as I'd love to hear that motion tonight, I do understand if it's going to take you a few days to get that drawn up. We probably won't hear the motion until the next meeting, but seriously, thank you for making this team their safety #1 priority. Just want to follow up. Who's next? Who else are you looking out for? Softball team, are they getting their lights? I mean, other teams are afforded night games. Why does softball always have to play during the day? Are softball and tennis getting an actual restroom and not just porta potties? Seems a little unfair. Are those two teams also going to get a concession stand? I think it's pretty unfair that other teams are allowed to raise money for their needs of their teams through concession stand sales. Those teams don't get that luxury. Are you going to start providing all safety equipment for the lacrosse team? Full gear is provided for the football team. Why not lacrosse? I mean, that's a real safety concern. The officials ask before the start of each game, is each player wearing approved and in good condition equipment? If the school didn't issue it, how do we know it's safe? You are putting those coaches in a huge liability, and then you'll turn around and blame them, and even though you guys aren't the ones that'll purchase it. Lastly, Ms. Martin, in the last meeting, you said that you are not here to do what the people at the meeting are asking you to do. You are here to do what the community wants.
30 seconds.
Well, we're the community, we're the ones here, we're the ones speaking, we're the ones emailing. Could you please tell your community to start showing up, start showing their faces, start showing who they are? Because really, it sounds like an excuse and just a big lie. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. These guys are a hard act to follow, but I'm going to switch gears for a little bit. I was here a couple weeks ago and brought up concerns about the district building, which you guys are proposing that we abandon. I didn't get to finish the letter that my husband wrote, so I'm here tonight to start over so that we can hear the whole thing. So my husband writes, I have a combined 30 years of construction experience in both field and office work. I would like to offer up areas of concern for the board's consideration regarding cancellation of the contract with H.R. Weaver. As a project manager, the first thing I would have done in response to the district's inquiry to cancel the contract would have been to create a cost code for work stoppage to charge man hours and instruct all concerned, assistant project manager, superintendent, and foreman, to keep track of their time spent on this matter. And that's going to cost extra money. The change order would be submitted along with the final pay application. This action by the school district would open pathways for all private contractors and subcontractors to file for breaches of contract. Dependent upon the terms of the contract, prime contractors and subcontractors may seek recovery of any associated legal fees, which means that if we break the contract, we would have to pay for their lawyers who could potentially be suing us, in addition to our own lawyers. The district would be responsible for the costs of loading, manpower, and equipment, and shipping materials back to their suppliers and assessed restocking fees. Some suppliers may refuse returns, which means we'd be stuck for paying materials that we no longer will use. Many of the materials may be unreturnable because the protective film has been removed, the boxes have been opened, they're not clean anymore, etc. A cost-loaded inventory of materials to be turned over to the owner would be needed, meaning you need manpower to create this list, which we would be paying for and not getting anything in return. It is commonplace for contractors to lease equipment such as lifts, office trailers, and storage containers. The district would most likely be responsible to pay for the remainder of their lease terms. It is common practice for contractors to front-load their pay applications. For example, after 3 or 4 months of work, the contractor may have billed for and been paid for 15 months worth of overhead. And they won't even have finished the job, and yet we're still going to be paying them for that full amount. It's always less expensive to construct a building sooner rather than later. If a partially constructed building were to lay vacant and it was decided to complete the project at a later date, it would certainly cost more than if the district would just stay the course. The cancellation of HR Weaver's contract and the history of the project could scare away good bidders, and others would consider building fluff into their bids, making them higher as added insurance in case of new problems with the district. Meaning, other contractors may be too scared to do business with the district anymore if we decide to bail out on this project, making any further construction projects problematic. So if you abandon this building, you will have wasted all of the efforts to find the money for it, to plan for it, to vote for it, all the construction, millions of dollars, and you'd be left with nothing. You would be back to where you started at ground zero with no place for the district employees to work. It seems like an absolutely foolish idea to continue or even propose to continue on this path. Thank you.
How you doing? Roy Gingrich. And I'm not sure, I'm a little confused. I was here 4 weeks ago, and you conservatives, I had a lot of faith in you. But you know, I brought up the subject about the wannabe cop in town, who is our wannabe middle school preacher, or principal, should be a preacher maybe, that out directing traffic right in the middle of the street. 2 kids almost got run over by buses. And you know what, guys? Not one of these freaking people here had enough guts to reach out with concern about your kids. Not one of them. Not one of them called me and said, what really happened? But we're talking about wrestling today. Larry, thank you for your comment. Right? Appreciate it. I read in the paper this whole thing about the wrestling team, buying flowers, helping, you know, isn't that what a coach is supposed to do? Mr. Guy said, you know, when that report comes out, you know why they don't want you to have that report? Mr. Guy told you. It's going to make this whole board look like assholes. That was his exact words. Man, I'm really starting to wonder what's going on. You know, a wrestling coach, being a wrestler, puts a lot out there. He works with kids. Isn't that what a coach is supposed to do? Work with the kids? You guys just sit there like, you know, really? Anyways, when I wrestled, if I got caught smoking, if you got caught in a fight, if you're out after 9 o'clock at night, if you talk back to the coach, if you got in trouble in school, if you didn't have good grades, you didn't wrestle that week. Where can we get that? I mean, we need to get back to that. Bottom line. And then we wonder why the world is the way it is. It's because our coaches aren't doing the job. But we got some great coaches, let me tell you. We have some awesome coaches. Someone just came up here and read some statistics. But if you don't have a coach, you don't have a team. It takes a good coach to have a good team. It takes a great coach to have kids go to states. Wow. I wish we could get back to that. The respect it taught me, the respect it teaches the wrestlers was unbelievable. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that winning team. Just wanted to just say, you know what? I think you're opening a can of worms you don't want to open up. If they do that to the wrestling coaches, if they do that to them, we can find everything, something wrong with every freaking coach we have. To even call and say, what about that wannabe principal, middle school principal, that thinks he's a cop? He doesn't even know what stop and start and parking is. He ain't either. And no one reached out. But if you're going to open that can of worms, every coach in Palmyra sports will be under that gun. Every one of them. Because we can find something wrong with every one of you if we wanted to. Right? Listen, these guys are out there putting their life in the line, helping these kids. My wrestling coach, Brian Small, he said, boy, you need some help. If you need to live, my probation officer said, if you need to live with me, you can.
30 seconds.
What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Our kids, you're teaching them not to respect. You're teaching them not to help people. That's the problem. And none of you have been coaches, or you won't be saying the crap you're saying. Not one of you. Larry, again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I wish I could say that about the conservative team.
Your time's up.
Thank you very much.
Ready?
All right.
Okay, time's.
All right. I think I spoke last week or 2 weeks ago. So once again, Andrews is great, class of 2012, proud Palmyra alumni. I'm saying this again as someone who not only is a Palmyra alumni, but also lives in town, has moved away, moved back home, knows what it's like to be a student here, knows what it's like to have friends and family that taught here, and that also are students here. So I'm getting all sorts of perspectives. And unfortunately, I look around and I see a board that is failing to meet the expectations of us, the students, the alumni, the faculty, and the community. Comments were made about how we want to, or how the board wants the community, especially 2 weeks ago, when the community was getting allegedly rowdy, that we have to provide a good example for our students. What example are you guys providing? That if you are in positions of power, you can abuse that you can have backdoor meetings with zero transparency? We elected you. And I've already admitted, I apologized for putting some of you in this position of power. So, like I said, the next couple of years, until every election day, I'm going to be holding all of you accountable. Some of you have, thankfully, met the mark, and some of you, I'm still waiting. I would love to see how the next couple of years play out, because, as we all know, 2027 is only 1 year away. The primaries are a little under 1 year away. We all know that, unfortunately, this town tends to vote one side as opposed to the other, instead of just voting based on policies. And if you're going to go party lines over policies, then that's fine. We can look at it from a perspective of primaries. On the other hand, some of you in 3 years, we know how things will play out, that if you keep going this route, some of us will have to go against you. Once again, I'd like to thank you all, the ones that do listen to the community, that have heard our concerns, and that are fighting with us. Because those of you who are dealing in these backdoor deals, we don't know what's going on until the report comes out. But when it does, it's going to hit the fan.
Time starts now.
Like I said, I've been here plenty of times, you know me, Mrs. Martin. My problem is consistency, policy. 2 years ago, we changed the public comment. You actually had dialogue about it. You didn't have a problem for 2 years, but somehow now you have a problem with it. It's really simple. Put a sign up back there. Erases the thing. You just are not consistent. That's the problem. Here's the thing. I'll try to be very brief because obviously you only have 5 minutes. Mr. Andrews, I was president of this board 3 years ago. I had a son who was a junior at the time on the lacrosse team. He got penalized. Not his penalty, but he took it because obviously that was the number that was called. He went to the box to serve his penalty, and he specifically told his coach, I don't want to hear what you have to say right now. It was halftime of the Hershey game. Obviously, my son was a better than average player. They decided they wanted to keep him there. Weren't going to do anything with him. 3 days later, my son gets notified he's being benched for the next game. Why? Because it was against Cedar Crest, and we've not lost to Cedar Crest in how long, so you don't need your top defender. Dr. Kepler didn't hear from me. What actually ended up happening was I met with the coach. I conveyed to him that I appreciate, but I think you're sending the wrong message because you waited 3 days. My son should have received the suspension the second half of Hershey. The day of the game, my son and I came there. The coach pulled me inside. Hey, can we talk for a minute? I know you got to go to your other son's game. He's playing in college, but talked over with the coaches and we agreed. You're right. We're sending the wrong message. And I said, whoa, Coach O, you completely misunderstand. The suspension is warranted. He is here today to cheer on his team. His gear's not even in the car. That's what a father does. That's what a school board member does. And I did not use it for any wrong influence. Now, Mrs. Martin's going to tell you about some possible incident that I brought up with the cheerleading thing. That actually has to do with safety. Because girls weren't practicing, not coming to practice. I don't know if you know cheerleading, but you do stunts, you do things like that. If you don't come to practice, you can't safely participate in games. Another thing, just rose to the superintendent and the athletic director, tried to go through the coach, but the coach didn't want to hear it. Okay, so rallied up the thing, was imposed. I'm the one that did it. Absolutely. I reported a violation of policy. I didn't ask for a coach to be removed. Anything. Now my comments are to you, Mr. Bowen. I used to sit on this board not too long ago. I have personal knowledge outside of my membership of this board, but on this board. I would advise you to talk to your client, specifically the one sitting right here. Is there anything that can be discoverable in a lawsuit? Dr. Kepler's sitting there right next to you. He knows. He and I have had this conversation. Coach Ricketts has been advised. I'm your #1 fan witness. I'm the discoverable person. I urge you to counsel them. This isn't something you want to do. If Mr. Jones has any information, what's ironic is the January 8th meeting, they renewed a coach that had a way more problem that Mrs. Martin was advised in that meeting of policy safety violations. I want to be very clear. I love that coach. I have no problems with any of the coaches here. The only time I've ever voted no for a coach is if they are a direct parent. And the only reason that is because I don't feel as a parent, you can objectively coach your child.
30 seconds.
So that would be my advice to you. The lawsuit's coming. The witness is right here. I have knowledge. I know knowledge. And believe me, it's discoverable. Thank you.
We have reached the end of those who have signed up. Is there anyone who has something they would like to say? Mr. Bolts. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So I just want to talk about my personal thoughts on. I was recognized today for my achievements, but that is not a feat by one wrestler. The whole team worked together to help me get to this accomplishment. Russell Sisney was working with me every practice to continue to allow me to wrestle better. Nick Weidman and I were challenging each other to perform better at our matches, competing over who could get the most pins that season. Aaron Andrew would always fire me up before all of my matches. He would get the team ready before every single dual meet. He was like just awesome before the matches. Owen Clark, he taught me more than anyone what it means to be a true teammate. He put the team before anyone. He truly cared for his team. What I see right there is in a team, that's a family. And that's not because of the wrestlers, that's because of the community that the coaches built. My state run, the first day I wrestled 2 matches. My first match, I lost. My goal was to win the gold medal that year. And that immediately eliminates me from there. So that was rough. My next match, I won in 7 victory to a match that I personally feel like I could have won by more. It was a close match. He's a good wrestler, but I felt like I could have done better. The next day, Coach Regetz immediately talked to me and knew that something was up, right? My mindset wasn't correct. I was worrying about the wins and losses when I should have been focusing on just wrestling, right? It's a sport. I choose to do it. I'm here to have some fun, right? He told me before my next match against a wrestler who had won his regional bracket, something that I fell short of, and was ranked higher than me in the state. And he told me before the match, smile. Just something small like that. And it completely changed how I looked at the match. I was no longer there to win. I was there to have fun. He changed my mindset. I ended up winning the match. The next match is the blood red, which means if I win, I place. If I lose, I'm out. And I'm going against a kid. I score pretty much, again, he says the same thing, smile for the match, right? I'm excited, right? Having some fun. I immediately, off the gate, scored, and pretty much made the match in my favor really early on. The coaches of the other team tried to claim that my shoelaces weren't tied properly, so that was something that happened during the match, and I mean, it was ruled. So the coaches went out. The coaches helped me fix my laces, tie them the full way up, and Coach Regetz and Coach Wyman came out there, and they're like, "Look, they're just trying to get something from you, right?" Made sure that my mind was right, because obviously something like that, it can throw you off, and I think that was their goal. And I ended up winning the match, placing, something that I am very thankful for. I truly believe that without my coaches, I would not have placed. Without my teammates, I would not have placed. This is a family effort here, and I think that removing the coaches is going to affect that. We have the same wrestlers. We have some new wrestlers coming up, but they hold us to an expectation that most coaches do not. They hold us to it. Like I said, it's a family. It's not a team. We're just working to be of course, better wrestlers, but better people, working to be better students. It's truly an honor to be their coaches, and no matter what happens, it'll always be an honor. These freshman and sophomore year, it's an honor being wrestling under these coaches, and whatever you choose, I hope that it's in your best interest. I believe that you guys do believe that you were doing this for safety, but I'm telling you right now, as a wrestler, I feel completely safe. My teammates, they're here, they feel completely safe. My parents, they feel completely safe. So
30 seconds.
That's just my opinion. You guys have the inside scoop, and I believe that you guys will make the decision that you feel is best. So thank you for caring for our safety. It means a lot that you guys are taking this very seriously. But I can just tell you my perspective is that I feel completely safe, and I believe that everyone here feels completely safe. Thank you.
I'm Carl Buscat. I just want to say, he just spent 5 minutes talking about the family that we have here, you know? What is gonna happen in the next 6 months when the new arresting season comes around, you know? What are we gonna do? That's what's going through our minds. Are we gonna have to choose a different sport? There's 23 kids that might not even have a program because we don't have coaches, you know? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna lose kids to the private schools that have powerhouses in the funding in the room that we don't have? You know, state placers that we haven't had for 31 years, you know? I just learned this past week that we're not going to be able to lift over the summer because we don't have a coach, and our overworked lifting coach doesn't get paid for us to have lifting in the summer. So we're going to have to go spend our own money that we work hard on and go find a gym and all together lift together someplace else because we don't have the amazing stuff that our coaches set up for us. And, you know, it just sucks. So maybe you should think about this because we are the people, you know, we are the kids, and we 14 to 18-year-olds, we have to go through this, and it just sucks. We just want to live life without seeing the rest.
Go ahead. I want to thank you guys for hearing everybody. If nothing else came out of this, guys, wrestling community, I just want to say thank you. I'm really honored at how you guys have showed up for us, and I don't know if I've ever felt this much love in my life, except for my wife. I don't even want to come up here and talk about wrestling. I want to say thank you to the board for putting together a good contract for our teachers. I think that of all of the things that Palmyra has going for it, our teaching staff is absolutely excellent. And I really appreciate that, honor their commitment to our kids. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, sir.
So you want to point out about policies, right? Let me enlighten. There is a good thing about policies, but there's also a bad thing about policies. All right? So let's put this in perspective. Say, all right, well, I don't know who's the bocce person here who has their kid on the bocce. I know you're not going to talk, but anyways. Say that coach brings your daughter home or son with flowers. How would you feel? Or let's put it in perspective as a dad. He brings you a watch that your coach took, that his coach took him again. How would you feel inside? Would you hate that guy? Would you think, oh my God, he's the worst coach ever? I don't think so. You're going to be heartfelt. You're going to be crying. Yes, Dad, you too. What I'm trying to get at is, I understand the policies, guys. But the problem is, you're looking at the policy in the wrong way. They didn't commit a crime and drive him on a killing spree. My God, you got flowers for his mother. I mean, if you can't respect that, you're cold-hearted. I mean, you're not a human being. You're something beneath that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Think about it. Put yourself in their shoes. Or a coach gives your kid vitamin C. Are you really going to stomp your feet and say, I want Empire? I mean, come on, man. Vitamin C during the wintertime? Give me a break. I mean, you all give your kids vitamin C. What's the difference between a coach and trying to keep your kid in that sport active? You're going to piss and moan? No. You're going to be thankful for that coach because he kept your kid in whatever sport he's doing. Or she. So what I'm trying to get at is there's policies. Yes, I get it. And you pointed that out at the last meeting. If we don't have policy, what do we have to follow? You're right. But you need to look at it in a different way. There's a good policy and there's a bad. They did nothing bad. I mean, my God. I don't see any of these kids injured from them. And did I hear any negatives? Did I hear one negative? No. Get with the program, man. I get it. Like I said, I get the policies. But you're looking at it completely wrong. I don't know. But just look at it in a different perspective as a parent, not a board member. Because I guarantee you, you guys are going to be smiling your asses off when somebody comes home with flowers or watch for Mother's or Father's Day or whatever else. That coach took your son or child. Yeah. Do you understand? I mean, come on, man. These coaches are phenomenal. Listen to all the positives. Are you seriously that bitter, Corey? Are you that bitter that you can't see the light? You know, these guys could have shunned your kid the rest of the way. They did not. They were in his corner coaching. I mean, whatever beef you have, let it go, man. If you're a God-fearing person, God forgives. You understand? God forgives. So if you want to call yourself a God-fearing person, forgive. Along with the rest of us. I know the phone lady in here. Or I'm speaking to her too. Yes, there's pictures all over her sitting on her phone and she's paying attention. But be God-fearing people. Forgive. Like I said, I don't see nothing out of that whole report that I just seen posted that was bad. I mean, he paid a student for taking pictures. Are you kidding me? He made that student's day. He took pictures of athletes, not stupid stuff like, oh, he's taking pictures of boys in the shower. No. He's earning a living, and Coach Reggets is helping him. That is respectable. Be God-fearing people. Understand, we have a policy, but there's a right and a wrong policy. There's no in between. Like I said, remember that on Mother's Day when the coach brings your daughter home, or son, whatever, with flowers. How are you going to feel?
Okay, it looks like we've come to the end of visitor comments then. Thank you everyone this evening. We will move on to the next agenda item, and that is finance. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Steinmetz.
Thank you. All right, the Finance Committee met on May 14th to discuss the following items presented for review. First one is the second reading of policy 603, given by Dr. Cutler. Then we reviewed from Dr. Frank the Therabilities renewal contract, the Health eTools renewal contract as well as given by Dr. Frank, and also the renewal of the 2026-2027 food service management contract for the recommendation of renewing recommended renewing the food service management contract with Nutrition Inc. for the 2026-2027 school year with no increase in lunch prices. Breakfast is still considered free, $2.40 for elementary, and a price of $2.50 for secondary education. We also reviewed the request for proposal for audit services. Mr. Prince gave us the review of those who submitted bids. in preparation for a motion of approval tonight, and there are no public comments. Coming out of the committee are two motions for approval. The first one is the motion to approve the 2026-2027 Lebanon County Career and Technology Center budget. I believe, Mr. Prince, do you have any information regarding that?
First,
I'm sorry. Excuse me, apologize. So first I'll make the motion to approve the 2026 Lebanon County Career and Technology Center budget.
Thank you, Mr. Steinmetz. I have a motion on the floor to approve the 2026-2027 Lebanon County Career and Technology Center budget. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Andrew. Now, is there any discussion? Mr. Prince, is there any discussion that you have, or Dr. Kepler?
Provided this is noted in the information attached, this budget is about a 3% increase over the prior year. Our portion of the budget is just a little over 1 point. It went away.
I think you have at
1.197 million dollars, which is included in our current budget for proposal there. So I think the CTC does a great job of pulling these items together. This has been approved by the JOC there.
All right, is there any further discussion?
Just
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Yes, pursuant to policy 006. Mr. Prince, could you please call the roll?
Laudermilk,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Steinmetz,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Guy,
Yes.
Gilligan,
Yeah.
Hull.
Yes.
By your vote 8-0, motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Steinmetz.
Thank you. Next, we have a motion to approve the Finance Committee items as noted on the Finance Committee consent agenda, consisting of the board policy, second reading of policy 603, the Fair Abilities renewal contract, the Housing Tools renewal contract, 2026-2027 food service management contract. And for the request for proposal to be approved agreement with Ware and Ritter CPA for audit services for the years ending 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. In the amount of $224,000, 728 cents, or $224,000, 728.
Thank you, Mr. Steinmetz. I have a motion to approve the Finance Committee items as noted on the Finance Committee consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second. Second, Ms. Haldeman. Further discussion?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to sever the first bullet point, board policy, second reading, to be approved on its own. The rest of the consent agenda to proceed forward.
So you're amending Mr. Steinmetz's motion. Do I have a second to the amendment? Second. Second, Ms. Fisher. Is there any discussion on the amendment to sever policy 603? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of amending the consent agenda to sever policy 603, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I have aye, Ms. Fisher, aye, Mr. Lotimer, aye, Ms. Gilligan, and aye, Mr. Guy. So that is 4. All those opposed? Opposed? Okay. So that's 4-4, motion fails. So now we'll move back to the original motion. I have a motion on the floor to approve the Finance Committee items as noted on the Finance Committee consent agenda. Do I have a second for that motion? Second, Mr. Andrew. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
Yes, I continue to raise an objection to board policy 603 budget preparation. The language around the Finance Committee chair being in that, I think that's in opposition to board policy 002 under powers, which states the powers of the board of directors are not vested in the individual board member. No such individual is authorized to act on behalf of the board to carry out any of the board's authorized powers except for those acts stated in law. I am not in favor of or ceding any of my authority as an elected official on this board to one individual board member above the others. So if the solicitor has some thoughts on that, I would love to hear them. But unfortunately, I'm going to be a no on the entire approval of the consent agenda. I will support it.
Is there any further discussion? I'm assuming based on the prior vote, we're going to have another 4-4, but we will go ahead and take that vote unless there's any further discussion.
Could you clarify what you're giving up? What authority you're giving to the chair?
The ability of oversight. That's what this board does, oversight. So I'm not ceding any of my authority to the finance committee chair to sit in budget meetings that I am not in as well.
So what exactly are you giving up though? What authority of governance? What specific state is there that he or she would be governing by sitting in those meetings?
You're getting oversight in a meeting where information is being presented that I am not getting in stream with you. Why? Again, it's clear there is not a board member here who can sit and get additional information or have additional powers than any of the 9 of us.
That's not true. The president does have additional power
you get to run
the agenda.
To oversee the agenda, to run the meeting, and you can sign checks as Seth can as well. Aside from those stated powers in the school code, there are no others. And I think you're in violation. Again, I've said it before. This is not new. Policy 002 here.
So there, in fact, that there's nothing actually stated that you believe is any type of governance other than that you don't like the
Just a minute, let him finish before you start.
It's your general positions, you just don't generally like the idea.
That one individual board member has a power that the other board members do not have.
Which power is that?
The power of oversight. Was I not clear on that?
Well, I don't think you're really expanding upon your oversight.
I don't need to. I don't need to. I've made it clear.
So you don't need to expand on it, but you want everyone to vote against it because you believe that there's some type of governance. It's not that you're giving up.
Yes, I just said that. Yes.
The power of oversight. Your general comment is just that you just don't simply like it because you think that you're giving up governance, but there's no actual language in it that says that you're giving up any of your governance.
Aside from the understanding that an individual school board member, the finance committee chairman, will be in these meetings to the exclusion of the other 8 of us.
But there is no specific language that says that you can't be there or that there's actual governance that you're giving up in detail to where this individual entity can make any decisions for the board.
I think it's like, again, I'm going to have the solicitor weigh in here. I think the language says exactly who will be in that meeting. That would be the exclusion of the others.
It doesn't mean that others can come. It doesn't mean that they're giving up any power. It just simply, you generally do not like that statement without any kind of authority being given to them. You just generally don't like it.
The authority is being by that individual person.
I think we're going around.
Just gentlemen, let's
I'm
move
trying to
on.
be clear on the comments.
Okay.
There's not a specific language or statement in there that you don't like.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen. Now let's let Ms. Fisher have a comment. She was wanting to talk earlier.
I agree with Mr. Lorimer, and I don't believe that you should be participating in meetings with the committee chair.
And can you use the microphone so that the crowd can hear, please?
That we don't believe that you should participate in the meetings with the administration. We have complete confidence in the administration to be able to manage the finances and bring them to us, the governing board.
All right, is there any further? All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
All right, so the motion fails 4-4. All right, moving on to staffing and administration, Ms. Gilligan.
The Staffing and Administration Committee met on May 14th. We discussed the PSBA voting delegate for a motion this evening. We also discussed the Big Brothers, Big Sisters MOU regarding the surveys included Youth Outcome Survey, Youth Strength of Relationship Survey, Child Outcome Survey, and Mentor Strength of Relationship Survey. We also discussed the Wellness Committee. Dr. Kepler reviewed that. We also discussed the Communications and Media Coordinator. There was no public comments. And the meeting adjourned at 9:42 p.m. Out of that, we do have a motion to approve the new collective bargaining agreement between the Palmyra Area School District and the Palmyra Area Education Association from September 1st, 26th through August 31st, 29.
Thank you, Ms. Gilligan. I have a motion to approve a new collective bargaining agreement between the Palmyra Area School District and the Palmyra Area Education Association from September 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2029. Do I have a second?
Second.
Wow, thank you both. Mr. Guy, any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Guy.
First, I want to thank the Teacher Association and its leadership for an outstanding negotiation session. I, again, have done that many times on my own as a teacher, and they have an excellent group there. I'd like to thank Dr. Kepler, who is the guiding light of this district. He brings us together, and without him, we'd be a ship without a rudder. I'd like to thank Mr. French and Mrs. Kempter for helping in the negotiation process on our side. The committee, Mr. Waterman, and I'd also like to thank Jill Martin, because if she would not have supported it, it would not have passed on the teacher side. So I don't always agree with her, but in this particular case, I am. Thanking you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Guy. Any further discussion? All right, this is also a roll call vote. So, Mr. Prince, would you please call the vote?
Martin?
Yes.
Steinmetz?
Yes.
Yes. Fisher?
Yes.
Guy?
Yes.
Gilligan?
Yes.
Oldham?
Yes.
Waterman?
Yes.
8-0, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. I'll turn it back over to you, Gilligan.
Okay, if I can see here, so we do have an approval of consent agenda, Staffing and Administration's Committee action items. Motion to approve the Staffing and Administration Committee items as noted on the Staffing and Administration consent agenda.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the Staffing and Administration Committee items as noted on the Staffing and Administration consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Steinmetz. Is there any discussion? Dr. Kepler?
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. I'll be brief, but I'd just like to thank, under item 3, 2 teachers from here at Lingle stepping on with other career decisions. We'll miss them both.
It's really sad to see the one.
Yes.
Rodriguez, well, Ms. Rodriguez, when my son had her, but she was a phenomenal teacher. She will be a big loss.
She will. She's been instrumental in helping us build our autistic support program. She's top notch. Other highlights there, we'll see the PSBA voting delegate that we talked about in committee. Thank you, Jill and Seth, for your willingness to do that. The Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Dr. Frank will lead those surveys upon your approval. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposed?
Opposed.
All right, motion carries. All right, we'll move right into reports. Dr. Kepler, you're first.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. The May Rotary Student of the Month, Ella Clements, had the fortune on June 14th to join her parents at an upcoming Rotary meeting where she'll be recognized. Also, our middle school students of the month, Andy Shao, Avery Price, and Kaylee Ross. Congratulations to those students representing us well. Also, we have one of the elements of our America 250 celebration in the district. So we have submitted our winners for second and third place in each of the grade levels. So a lot of names there. I won't read them out for you tonight, but you can see those in the public. Thank you for our elementary team. Did a great job. Every student basically participated and made it a real tough choice for our judges. Also, highlight Aiden Willard, our senior baseball player, had a tremendous senior season, recently selected as the Penn Live Baseball Player of the Year. You can see some of the stats there as they enter districts. I know our boys would rather still be playing. Had a tough loss in districts, but Aiden, high quality young man and a great season. Some information for you. The Department of Justice recently announced an interim final rule extending the deadline for our accessibility regulations for website, etc. We now have until April of 2028 to be fully accessible. However, we're continuing with our updated website for rollout here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I would like to highlight the May 9th full-scale drill conducted by the County Department of Emergency Services. What a valuable experience to have first responders, county officials, school employees go through that lifelike scenario just to prepare and to help our first responders and help us prepare. It was a sad yet tremendous experience that we have to do those things. I'd like to highlight an upcoming program that's just rolled out to our high school students. Mr. Benton at the CTC, working with Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology with a grant and opening a new dual credit innovation grant for students, seniors for next year. We have 2 slots at Palmyra for students to get involved in electrical and 2 spots for students to get involved in electrical mechanical technology. They would take this program in the evening at the CTC. They would basically get 1 of 2 years to Thaddeus Stevens in these programs paid for an associate's degree. So 50% of their schooling free in career and technical education, an area we need to continue to emphasize more and more. So we're excited and hope students take advantage of that program. And then some upcoming events. There aren't many left. Next week's it. So Senior Awards Night, June 2nd. Graduation on the 4th with an early dismissal last day on the 4th as well. So we hope to conclude in positive and quiet fashion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kepler. Next, we'll move on to, I assume, your last student representative report.
Student Council recently conducted its final event of the year, which was a pickleball tournament, and we also assisted with relocating the Cougar Closet to its new upstairs location. Encounter Church will host the senior baccalaureate service on Sunday at 2 p.m., and then seniors will participate in the middle school and elementary walkthroughs on June 3rd, followed by graduation.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your service to the board. We've appreciated your reports this year. All right, next is Mr. Andrew with the Lebanon County Career and Technology Center report.
All right, we met on May 19th at 6:30 at the CTC in Lebanon. And the first important item of business was we elected a new superintendent of record who will be a part of the JOC committee there, and that is our own Dr. Kepler. So we're happy to have him on board at the CTC. They also hired a new masonry instructor, some substitute teachers, as well as approval of all 6 districts of the new Articles of Agreement. And the new Articles of Agreement are now being circulated to all the districts, which will each have to approve that as well. They did make the change of the funding process for the CTC in those new articles of agreement. However, it did not affect Palmyra much at all as far as what we pay, just a % here or there difference. But the did pass, which will help the CTC move forward with a much needed renovation. We also approved the new contracts of the administrative folks at the CTC, and we finished up with first reading of policy on 815 generative artificial intelligence.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ingram. Next is Palmyra Parks and Recreation. Ms. Haldeman.
We met on May 20th at 6 p.m. The main focus of the meeting was to welcome and meet the new executive director of the Palmyra Area Parks and Recreation Commission, Rebecca Zallet. She started May 5th and has hit the ground running. And we also did approve the new employee handbook that they came up with. Apparently there wasn't one before that, is what I found out. So we discussed that and approved that. And then the next meeting will be June 17th at 6 p.m. at the Borough office.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Haldeman. Next is the Lancaster Lebanon Intermediate Unit 13. That is me. We met last night at their Lancaster location. The meeting included a budget work session for their strategic business unit budgets, had a committee meetings and then a regular meeting. So it was a very long evening, but it was a good evening. They provided us with Harvey's barbecue, so that was great for dinner. Highlights of the meeting included many of their celebration of year-end events, including the IU 13 Business Partnership Luncheons, which Dr. Kepler and I both attended and were very moving in order to seeing the students and their work relationships. They had the STEM Awards last night that they talked about. And then the next meeting of the IU 13 is scheduled for June 24th at the Lancaster location, where then we will vote on strategic business unit budgets. And that concludes my report. Next is the Cougar Foundation, Mr. Laudermill.
That is me. And Dr. Kepler, I need your help. We approved one grant, and I can't remember what it was. It was for a trip.
It was supporting our high school STEM teams team to go to their national competition.
Yes. I knew it was a team, but I couldn't remember what. Thank you for that. And then we spent a considerable amount of time filling all the holes that we have on the board. A lot of people on their phones, a lot of people were told they were going to sign up and join. They were thrilled to once they were informed of that fact. But we now have a full complement of people, aside from maybe one, on the Cougar Foundation. And we think that's going to bring a lot of energy back. We've done away with the family dance this year, coming up with some more powerhouse, maybe, fundraisers. And we have, again, a lot of energy on the board, which is, I think, what we needed to kind of push forward from where we were with a bit of a status quo. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we're the foundation, I've met with or communicated with other superintendents, some of their foundation leaders in the IU with successful foundations, and trying to do some more, more efficient fundraising, but EITC and capitalize on some potential larger amounts of money that can help support our schools.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Guy on the library report.
Yes, we met last Tuesday. We're in the midst of, again, reevaluating our space at the library for possible reorganization, expansion. We also are going to be part of the airing covered new complex. There will be some type of room in the library there. We just haven't quite figured out exactly what the wants us to be doing there yet. Let's see. We also were part of the, I believe it was Palmyra Pride weekend, the the first weekend in May. It was also that Wednesday. We participated in cooperation with Bindnagel's Lutheran Church. Now, if you've never been to Bindnagel's, it's a treat. It's a colonial Lutheran church. The original church was there in the 1750s. There was a log, and Palmyra wasn't founded until 1760. John Palm was, in fact, a member there. In 1803, they built the Pleasant building. And again, it's a treat inside. If you ever get a chance on a Sunday morning, their services are at 9 o'clock. And again, it's like being in the colonial atmosphere. Deb Buckfelder was responsible for it along with the congregation. They had tours. You could go through the cemetery as well. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time out there. I have 8 plots, so I'm out somewhere between the Indians and the Revolutionary War soldiers. So looking forward to that all the time. To spend more time at school.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guy. Now we'll move on to the Lebanon County Tax Collection Committee report. Mr. Steinmetz.
Yes, the most exciting report of the night. Lebanon County Tax Committee met on May 20th. We approved the February 18th, 2026 minutes. We also heard from Keystone, reported they have 2 potential Lebanon office locations as they prepare to vacate their current space by July 1st. There's no resolution on which direction they're going, but we did have the discussion. Keystone representatives also reviewed the collection reports, and we also unanimously approved the expenditures and financial reporting as indicated. We also do not have any public comment. Visitors were dismissed at 6:12, Keystone representatives. And afterwards, we did meet in a executive session to discuss certain items. We meet quarterly, starting next one will be this fall.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steinmetz. And then Ms. Gilligan, the Lebanon County Legislative Region report.
It's been very quiet, and
Okay, unfortunately, no budget yet, but hopefully by next month.
no budget.
All right, next is communications. They will be entered into our minutes per board policy. And then seeing nothing further on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned. We're going to move right into committees. I see one of our guests is here. He's been waiting a while, Mr. Bachman.
The recording has
start with
stopped.
our Curriculum and Instruction Committee. So that is Mr. Guy. And first on that agenda is our Pats Cubs. Sorry.
Okay. So we have the Cats Club.
Thank you all for being here. I know, if you don't mind, Mr. Guy, if I just make an introductory comment on your items. Mr. Guy?
Yes.
Is that okay? Just wanted to thank you three for being here. Dr. Hoover, Dr. Miller, and Mr. Bachman. I had mentioned this in a prior president's report, but I just had heard of this program recently and met with Mr. Bachman and was so impressed with the program and all you've done, and just wanted more in the community to know about it and more to know about Mr. Bachman's late wife and just what an incredible program she started and she got kicked off. And I just want to make sure that more in the community know about it and that we can support it and help it grow even more. So I've invited them here this evening to give a brief presentation, and then Mr. Bachman here as well if he would like to speak. And I'm not sure how you have it all set up for tonight, but I do see your presentation, so I'll turn it over to you and then back over to Mr. Guy for his. Thank you.
All right. Well, good evening. Pat's Cubs started about 16 years ago. I first met Pat
when she was an advocate for a student she was tutoring. She was always had a very level head on her shoulders, worked with the school, and always had the students' interest in heart. She was a special education teacher since the day she was born, I would think, always advocating for those students. She was hired as a special education teacher at Northside Elementary, and then she moved into administration, and she was the proud principal at Pine Elementary, one of my favorite schools. We were at an elementary meeting. There were only 4 elementary principals at that time, and Pat shared a dream that she had. And her dream was to provide a summer opportunity for students who were not meeting benchmarks, who were not getting additional supports in the school system. And this is long before all of our interventions and our leveled help and tiered intervention. She wanted to provide this service to our students for free. And we all looked at her and we said, we're in. We're going to make this dream come true. So a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And Cub was born about 16 years ago. Over the years, it's looked different. It's changed its format here and there, but it always held strong. And I am proud to continue with this initiative.
Thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. Board Chair Martin and Dr. Hoover asked me to speak about Pat's Cubs Charitable Trust. Cubs started, as Dr. Hoover said, 16 years ago. My wife Pat was principal at Pine. She was a special education teacher from the start. Explains why she married me. And she knew that the summer slide, y'all know what the summer slide is, affected students who struggle more than the average student. And she wanted to come up with a structure for something to do in the summer for these kids. And she and some of her caring colleagues got together and set up a structure for students in K through 5, the entire district, to help them maintain their skills in math, reading, those subjects, so they could hit the ground running when school began in the fall. The board approved it, but told her there were no funds available to pay the teachers who had agreed to participate. Undaunted, she solicited businesses in town, and Walmart generously provided a $10,000 grant that year to get it started. Best of my knowledge, Walmart has continued to support this program every year. So Cub, Cougars Upward Bound, was born. When Pat retired in 2016 due to declining health, Superintendent Lisa Brown and several of Pat's colleagues came by the house to visit her and tell her that they were renaming the program Pat's Cubs in her honor. So when she passed, her kids and I requested donations, food, flowers, maybe Pat's Cubs, care upon our school district. The response from family and friends was so overwhelming. The business manager at the time, Darcy Brenner Smith, explained that the district could only, they were precluded from investing in anything other than savings or time deposits. And we knew that we would keep up with inflation. And we wanted these gifts to her memory to last in perpetuity to keep this program funded. I knew we needed to get exposure to equity markets, and that was something that I was familiar with. Now, I was actually going to go through of how we got this trust grant set up. Applying to the IRS for charity, 501(c) charity status, and how the investments were chosen. But a very good friend told me, don't drag me through the weeds on that. I will share that Kevin Richards, an attorney at Henry Beaver Associates in Lebanon, who I think is still a resident, I know had kids in the district, drew up the trust agreement for us for free. And also Pat's lifelong friend, Deb Lang, has been the co-trustee with me for the trust since the beginning. And when I learned that Dr. Hoover would be retiring, I asked her to graciously serve as a trustee, and she agreed to do that, and now we have a pro educator on board. So my estimation is for the last 8 years, Pat's Cubs Charitable Trust has been able to provide annual grants of $3,000 to $9,000, depending on enrollment and on need. We continue to receive donations from family and friends, and for the last 3 years, we participated in Palmyra's Great Day of Giving. And about 5 years ago, two of Palmyra's 50-year reunion classes committees challenged each other to see who could raise the most money in support of Cub. So most, if not all, the costs, if I'm not mistaken, are covered from either grants or donations. No district funds are required. For several years, as Dr. Hoover said, the program was all day and included lunch. Most of it, not all of it, was donated by Lisa's Cafe here in town. Currently, Cub is held for several hours, Monday through Thursday. It's important to the trustees and to the community that this program be continued in whatever format is most effective for the students. I would love for it to be able to grow monetary support, continue to show students make good progress, and broaden this to any student or their parents want them to maintain their skills over the summer.
So with Dr. Hoover retiring, she kind of asked and has supported me with what that looks like to continue this legacy, to continue this very important program. And I didn't have the honor of knowing that, but I have heard and I've seen the love and the admiration in the eyes of the fine teachers who did work with her. So that name still is something that is very dear. To do so, my role in the past has been more just the academic piece, but now we'll be helping out with the programming and making sure that it continues on with this legacy, this path's upward bound. So when we are identifying students, we go through a series of data gathering. So we put it out to our reading specialists, our math specialists. We gather a list of students who have really benefited from having extra supports throughout the school year. And then we ask our teachers to review that as well. So it starts in February, we get this list going, teachers review it as well, make recommendations, and then we're able to talk about that during parent-teacher conferences with parents to say, this is a program that we'd love your student to be a part of, and they give the information, and then we're able to register them. So it's a process that we're very proud of, and I think it helps us to really identify those students, because we do want to make sure that they're not getting that summer slip, and also just having that consistency. So that's been my role, and I'm excited to kind of continue on with the bigger role in the future when Dr. Hoover retires.
A Day at Cub, it's a 4-week program. It always starts the Monday after the 4th of July and goes for the following 4 weeks. We meet 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. It is at Northside Elementary this year. This year we actually have 3 students who could not attend unless they had transportation. So I worked with the district, and we have a van, and I sort of voluntold the camp director, who's also one of the support staff in my building, that she is driving and picking up students. So we are going to be picking up those 3 students. The students will then have 4 classes. One is a small group ELA. We have 2 teachers in that room so that we can have a 1 to 8 at the max ratio. There's a math class. There's a STEM/technology, which is a lot of hands-on problem solving. And there's also a school readiness. A lot of that is some executive functioning, how to be a friend, what to do if you're afraid, those kinds of things. And that's the day. Fundraising, Oren went through that. Walmart has been extremely generous. For the past 15, 16 years, they have given us a check for $10,000, which basically covers the cost of Cub, which is basically salary is all we need. Our elementary PTO is very generous. They always give around $3,000, and Oren has also been extremely generous and has given us money through the trust.
So this year, we are finalizing our enrollment. We're meeting with teachers. Teachers are coming back after teaching for many years, so it's really neat. They get very excited about this program and own it. We're just making sure we have all the resources and the staff ready to go when the kids come. And we do. We're able to provide indicators to see, is this program working for us? So for math, we're giving
the standards, prerequisites for different grade levels and for reading. We're going to be going with fluency and like core kind of assessment to say in the beginning, this is how our students are performing. And at the end, we can look at that. It's not a whole lot of time, but it's enough where we can be able to say like, okay, we're continuing these skills throughout those 4 weeks and it is making a difference for our students. That's something that we like to share with the foundation at the end as well. So we're excited for it to get started. There's a lot of work to do before then, but it's a really fun program. Kids love coming to it, and we're going to keep watching it grow.
So what's your enrollment this year? Do you have that set yet?
It's a little bit higher than years past. So we did like a little bit of a last, like, hey, did you, I don't know if we've done it before, but so we're at like 80-ish right now, with some kind of on a wait list, and we want to make sure that the spots are filled too. So like that commitment of being there and investing in this time. So around 80.
Historically, how does that compare to what you've had in prior years?
It is growing. We started around 50s and and we're up to about in the 80s. When we did it virtually, our numbers were huge. Those were during the COVID years. So we offered it not only in person when we were able to, but we also offered it virtually as well. So those numbers were a lot higher back then. But,
do you feel we're serving all of the children who are interested and we're able to do that?
Yes. Yes.
So is there any ask of this board at all to help support you all, or you feel like this program is running well and good, or?
There will always be that finance. I hate to have any student on a wait list, but I also have to pay teachers.
Right.
So the ask is unfortunately always financials in that respect. Yeah.
This is just another example. Yeah. This is just another example of what this school district can do. It makes it unique. I know that the library also runs a program during the summer, and hopefully between your program and the library's program, we're catching most of the kids. But again, this is just something that makes this so unique and so proud of this district. Thank you very much.
That's why I invited him. I was just so impressed and proud of this that I wanted the rest of the community to hear it too. So thank you very much.
Just real quick. So because of the wait list and the limitations on teachers, what's the number of teachers that you're short right now to fulfill the wait list?
We currently have 5 teachers, and then we call it a director. That's somebody who kind of takes attendance, drives, will fill in and help in that. We would possibly need 1, maybe 2 teachers. But again, as Dr. Miller said, we want to make sure there is a commitment. Last year we did staff it. That was a year Orrin was extremely generous, and I wasn't convinced the money was spent wisely because we had 80 on the list, but when it came down to who actually showed up, it wasn't that many kids. And although the staff was great, we probably did not need that many. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Frank, I hope this title. Your presentation lives up to this title. I'm going to let you read it.
Thank you, Mr. God. Yes, I was an English teacher, so I thought, how can I put enough words to explain what I want to talk about? But this is just an update. I don't have a presentation for you. However, I'd like to return next meeting with a little bit more information. So, we've been talking to you, most of this year on our elementary focus area, which is implementing consistent instruction across every classroom, specifically with reading. We've been working very hard as an elementary team, and around December, we discovered that in order to truly accomplish this goal, we need to address inconsistent instructional blocks across our 4 buildings. One of the leading factors to the inconsistent instructional blocks is the fact that the 4 buildings share related arts teachers. This is not an efficient system. We have related arts teachers literally driving between 4 buildings in one day. You heard from Forge and Mrs. Vaughn. Based on how things were done in the past, Vaughn has a little more difficult situation with our related arts teachers in the other buildings. So this had to happen, so it would be efficient and equitable. So under Dr. Grant Miller's leadership, a revised schedule was drafted. It didn't have a huge impact on classroom teachers. It actually just gave them, the common instructional time, a lot of the positives, but it did have an ask of our related arts teachers. So we've been spending a lot of time reviewing it with them. In the end, they are very happy with this. It gives them consistency too. It moves us to a 6-day cycle, which is consistent now K-12, which is a positive. Dr. Knudsen already shared that she already made the change in our power school system, so this was something that was able to be done quickly. It also assigns our related arts teachers to sister buildings, so Forge Pine, Northside, Lingle. And finally, we do just have to add a little bit more content, so some new courses, and that's just to make sure that we have our teachers there teaching during those blocks. So when it comes to your next meeting, we're going to try to use the proposal for pilot programs. This was part of our new admin reg for policy 105. And the reason we're asking to do this is because we want to add health curriculum for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and STEM curriculum for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. So we're going to provide you with the pilot program document that we talked about. And right now, teachers are actually working hard to add a new course approval form. I shared this with you in November. This was something I created. This is the process that I have used in the past. It gives us the opportunity to get your approval to start offering a course, but then gives our teachers a chance to write the curriculum and bring it to you. So you're going to get all the units, you're going to get all the content. So they're working hard on that right now. We actually have some trade days in early June. So we're hoping next meeting to come to you with the proposal for pilot program and the new courses. We believe this is extremely important for getting us on track at our 4 elementary buildings, getting consistent instruction as we continue to grow as a district. Any questions? Just an overview of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
That does it.
Thank you, Mr. Guy. Next, we'll move on to the Finance Committee. Sorry? Oh, sorry. I'm just so excited to get it.
Did anybody grab the sheets?
No. Thank you, Mr. Loudon. I apologize. Just moving on.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Okay, anybody have any? So I'm not sure how we're doing this now. Did he have to sign up for public comment during the work session?
Well, we have the sheets out there. The policy does state that. So if we are going to be consistent, we probably should, since we never did change the committee policy.
I think you'll have to ask. A lot of these names spoke for public.
Okay. Well, this would go to Larry.
So I've never been to this part. Can you
explain? Sure, absolutely. So typically with committees, we would have these sign-up sheets in the back, and each one would have your name and municipality and what topic you want to address. And the topics, in order to speak at committees, you have to speak on whatever topics are on the agenda. So you can't speak on anything ever. You can only speak, tonight would be, you can speak on Pat's Cubs, or you could speak on the elementary focus area update, implementing a common master schedule to increase consistency of instruction. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I just have to give Laura a hard time. So I appreciate that question, because it is something you don't normally understand. I never did when I first started coming to these meetings either. So it does look like a lot of people on here have already spoken. So, but if there is anyone here who wants to speak on Pat's Cubs or Dr. Frank's topic,
I do have a concern, because many times people have no clue what we're talking about until after they hear it. And if we insist that they sign up for, I think that's a negative situation. I think if they have comments or questions, they should simply be allowed to do that, because they never know what we're going to say.
I would probably agree with that without thinking about it more, but I think to our point initially in the meeting when Mr. Loudonbelk and I were talking about potentially reopening policies, I think that's a good idea to revisit this as well. So I do agree with that. When you come to a meeting, you don't know exactly what's going to be said about something. So at some point soon, I think we should look at revisiting those policies. So is there anyone that does want to speak on this? Okay, then now we can move on to Finance Committee. Mr. Simons.
Thank you. First on the agenda is the CSIU Business Office and Human Resources Software. Turn it over to Mr. Franz.
Sure, this is just a yearly contract for the software that we use for our financial accounting, payroll, human resources, as well as fixed asset was the other term I was looking for, tracks there. So we're very happy with CSIU. It's one of the few programs that is developed through the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit. So it is by Pennsylvanians for Pennsylvanians, which is very helpful with dealing with PDE and changes that are made there. So just providing this as a normal contract for approval moving forward.
Further discussion? All right. Moving into special education contracts. I believe it's also Mr. or Dr. Kepler.
Take it. Before you tonight, these are redacted with no names. These are specific placement contracts for 3 students with IUPs for the various New Story programs. You'll see variations. They don't all operate the same. Some provide a little more detail in a specific student document. One does not. But all New Story, 3 individual student placements for next year.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Krista, is there anyone on the list who signed up for?
Oh, again, I think it's, so if you want to ask if there's anyone.
Right, just want to make sure we cover all the T's and the I's. Anyone have a comment? Public comment? All right. Hearing none.
Okay, why don't we move on next to Buildings and Ground Committee. That's Mr. Andrew.
All right, all right, sir, thank you. At this late hour, construction update.
You can see the list there, the yellow report. The one I will go over is changed a little bit, is the pine roof. Trumco, our roofing contractor, they did the scan maybe in spring because you have to wait for a certain temperature to do it. Scan. They just wanted to verify. They did come up with more wet spots because we waited a whole year to even address the roof. They asked if they could start early, so they've been starting to try to get these wet spots. They believe by June 5th, they will be back to where it would have been, that they would have started, without finding additional wet areas. So they've been working up down there, cooperating with the school, doing whatever it takes to make it work, and we have not gotten any complaints about it. So that's the project is probably the biggest one. All the others are set to take off the 8th. Everybody's kind of ready. Some of the contractors are going to probably, Iron Street one's going to take off the 8th. Some of the other ones will be taken off in the middle of June, depending on the weather schedule. Some like the wall and stuff, I'll have to hold off a little bit. Other than that, we're still doing a punch list. We're still fighting with the contractors. There's things that I just don't believe are right, and we're going to try to hold to as long as we can. So we'll push the contractors as far as we can, and at the end, we'll see where it falls, and whether we have to do it ourselves or whether we can convince them to do it. So Any questions on any of the projects that are coming up?
No, just thank you for all your hard work and your perseverance. Appreciate that.
The monthly report, you can see, please, if you see any of my people, thank them. This month has been a rough month. I got two guys that are medical issues that they're dealing with. Our one HVAC guy, he's dealing with a medical issue and he's still coming to work in between when he can, and now he's going for surgery tomorrow again. But he tells me he's going to be back for the end of next week when we have to do Big Pine. The dedication is there. The other guys that aren't the HVAC guys, they're picking up the slack and they'll call the HVAC guys on the phone and say, hey, I'm part of this unit. This is what I'm seeing. And basically, I mean, today they were up, we had a freezer went down. They were up there FaceTime to the HVAC guy at home. And he was telling them what was wrong with them. So they were very dedicated. Any comments or questions about the change left for the, this would be for the stadium project?
Those were just all the items we talked about previously, right? There was nothing there that wasn't discussed previously.
I mean, last meeting?
Well, there's been a couple, but I think we talked about the fencing and the other stuff. So, was there anything we didn't discuss?
Just the bigger item would have been the unsuitable soils. The contractor, he took care of the unsuitable soils. He doesn't pay for his labor to finish after he took that out of unsuitable soil. So we paid for the stone, the concrete, and the labor to frame that up for the concrete. It did not charge us for digging it out of it, hauling it away, or the squirrels itself. Sometimes it's tough to get rid of that unsuitable soil. It's basically clay and nobody really wants it. So, thank you.
Do you foresee any further change orders? I mean, anything coming that you know of, or? I mean, you can't predict necessarily, but.
No, I don't.
I do know we have one that we got today, but it was from ECI for their credit for allowances back. So it's not a change. It kind of is noting they feel like they're at the end. We haven't got that from all the contractors yet. So
I believe that there's probably one contractor that won't be sending that back right away. But there could be, we're still fighting one issue about some speakers on the light poles. And that's going to come up. The speakers on the light poles were mounted too low. They're shooting right in the back of the bleachers. It was an engineering mistake. But at the same time, you would have thought when you put the pole up, speakers up, and you're seeing your shoot right in the back of the thing, that somebody would have brought it up in the meeting and said, hey, it was 3 months after when it was supposed to be completed too. So that's my big argument too, is 3 months past when you were supposed to be done, and this is showing up. So we're going to fight a little bit, and we'll see. We have a meeting tomorrow with the electrical engineer and the architect. We're going to look at what can be done. Muscle Lighting is going to be there. They're going to also, because they got to justify if they move those speakers up higher on the pole, what does that do to the integrity of their light poles? So that'll.
Thank you.
Is there any risk to the completion then because of the speakers or delay?
Completion of the whole. Yeah. We could use it right now. They used it for opening, cutting seminary. It's just if you're sitting in the top seat and in front of the speakers, you're probably not going to want to stay there.
Yeah, I guess I'll provide my statement. So if we were to take them down or fix the speakers for the application, is there going to have any delay in any other things for the district in the future? So if we're going to take the poles down, adjust the speakers.
Well, I don't believe they'll take the poles down. What they're trying to do is find out private road poles have enough integrity to move them up 20 feet. There's a big difference in engineering when you move, these speakers up 20 feet when that pole will get up. So they need Musco to verify that from engineering, and then it would be a matter of they have to get it moved up. I don't foresee it holding up for the start of football season.
Thank you.
So in one more, so in theory, the pole could have to be replaced potentially if it's deemed not satisfactory to move just thinking worst case scenario, right? So like,
I would look
at a different spec is what it is.
So we come up with another scenario, whether you locate speakers different or whatever. I don't have the engineering seal or put on that, but I'm sure, in my field, we come up with alternatives.
It just seemed like the concern from their point, maybe a different pole spec depending on the height of where that speaker is set. So I just didn't know if you had any understanding of that or not.
No, I mean, they expect it based on the speaker height where it is now.
Right.
They could come back and say, you can move it 20 feet up and it's not going to affect your plan. They might come back and say it is. And then at that point, we need to have options and figure out what the district wants to do unless we drag this on for a long time, which I hate dragging stuff on, I would say it's going to be done before football season.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
And Mrs. Holman got her lungs.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you. This brings us to public comment on building and grounds.
Just a really quick question. I mean, it would seem prudent given we're supposed to be taking occupancy of an administration building. I didn't see it on the construction update. It's not on the board meeting minutes per your direction last meeting. We'd be receiving an update this week. So in the interest of transparency, I think you owe the public that.
The solicitor advised me that we're reviewing that, and so that we were going to do that in executive session, and then at some point soon, hopefully, we'll be able to discuss that in public.
Anyone else?
That's it for buildings grants.
All right, last is the Staffing and Administration Committee. That is Ms. Gilligan.
Okay, we have the CTC Articles of Agreement.
So Mr. Andrew alluded to this in his report on the CTC. We previously looked at the articles. After districts reviewed, there was further discussion and further revision necessary. So before you tonight, in a track changes format, I'll highlight the two areas that are most significant. The first one is a new Article 2.3, language on how and the process for should one of the 6 participating districts want to withdraw. Provides a process and how payment responsibilities would occur. The more specific one for us at this time is, I believe, Article 6, which references funding for any debt that the CTC, through JOC approval and 6 district approvals, would pay that debt back. There was language in the first revision that there was feeling that needed clarified. The way it was worded, that it was changing both the annual operations budget and debt, when the intent was solely changing to a 50-50 model for any future debt. So this provides that clarification language that, again, we as a school district benefit with this change, albeit slightly. It's a couple tenths of a %. as Mr. Andrews said. So the recommendation is that we approve this in the June 11th board meeting, and then positions the CTC through their JOC regarding any future debt associated with renovations.
Any questions, board? Okay, next thing is the football team overnight trip.
Okay, the high school football team is seeking approval for an athletic department school-sponsored overnight trip to Millersville from July 10th to the 12th. This is an annual trip that allows the team to engage in practices, team meetings, team building activities at the exceptional Millersville facilities.
I have a question. On scope, it says high school football team. Is that varsity and JV? Like, how many students are we talking about?
So at this point, we have roster finalized at a later date. Might get to sort of that. It's a whole high school team, 9 to 12.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I have another question. I apologize. Is this the first time we've had the full 9 through 12 go?
No, every year.
Every year, and we've never had a question. Yes. Okay, thanks.
Okay, then we're moving on to the board policy. Yeah, Mr. Guy. It's not during school time, Mr. Guy.
Okay, I just want to say, this is the kind of, I can always improve. It's in the summer, they're instructed. If they can all be like that, you can enter it during the summer.
Well, the Steelers are sponsoring it, so that will be good too.
Certainly worthwhile.
We know Mr. Guy. Okay, now we're going on to the board policy second reading. Recommend to approve the second reading of the following board policy 903, public comment in board meetings.
And this is the final reviewing committee. June 11th would be the final vote to amend this policy. As discussed earlier, my recommendation is that you move forward, approve this policy. So what this is changing is really how we're adding transparency to the community, where we're going to begin recording committee meetings and then also posting our videos for 2 years online, and an additional 4 years beyond that in archive should a citizen want to go back and retrieve this. So it is our recommendation you follow through and approve this, and then should the board want to review again, that you do that in subsequent meetings.
That's gonna be my question, what your recommendation was as to how to address all the comments we've had this evening, making further changes, but I would agree with that approach. I think it's clear. And then we start over again.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, then we have public comment. If anybody wants to discuss the CTC, the football trip, or the policy reading. Mr. Jones.
So given that the football trip is on here and given earlier incidents and the treatment of the wrestling coaches, my question is A, why has the football team not been discussed? You know about the report. Dr. Kemper knows about the report. Dave knows about the report. Mr. Guy knows about the report. It would seem that report, if released and published, would make the rest of the report look like kids play. As my son is now entering into 9th grade, I want to know how you are going to protect my son from them if he's not good enough to be protected. Again, I want to be very clear. I have no problem with the football coaches. I don't think they need to be replaced. But again, kind of my earlier comment, I want to look into that because this shows a precedent that his is personal, not policy. So I think we should really be careful where we're going to go. Thank you.
Just wanted to comment on the public comment in board meetings. I know you're going to address clarifying some stuff later. I just want to thank you for giving people the chance to speak tonight. I know Elijah really wanted to, but he was such a good speaker. He did a great job. He emailed at 12:12 today and was told it was too late. So the policy, the way it is going to restrict people's ability to speak. And in this case, it would have been one of the students. So he had plenty of time to do it. I'm not making excuses for him, but I did want to say thank you. So when you do discuss that, just thank you.
Last meeting, there were some comments made from the chair that I found complimentary. And it seemed to me that you were making a policy change without actually going through the steps as you do here for the recordings on the very same policy. Seems to me that if a change is going to be made to a policy, it needs to be made not because of a person's beliefs. And I did listen very well to this back and forth between Mrs. Steinmetz, Mr. Laudermilk about who gets to have a say and who doesn't. If you're going to make a policy change, you need to do it through the regular process. And I think this utterance that, oh, you know, we're going to force you to sign up. Well, the policy is vague. When you have a vague policy, you can't enforce something. You expose yourself to litigation. As Larry, Ms. Gilligan can tell you, I'm not afraid of litigation. Dr. Kepler can tell you, Title IX. You need to go through the process, and you cannot use your position as chair as a bully pulpit, where you can make these utterances and say, well, this is going to be that, this is going to be that, and yada, yada, yada. I think you need to follow regular procedures that have been followed by the board, and I think you need to stop making these sort of personal things. And yes, there was actually Supreme Court case law on that. So if you could, lower the temperature yourself, and I think you'll find the people you're looking at will probably be a little bit more, or I'll say less upfront. By the way, Dave, I think you had a very good point on the finance. You should never give up your right to have a voice. People elected you as much as him.
So just to be clear about it, it's a do as I say, not as I do. You want the public to be transparent about who's coming to you, what they're speaking about, but you guys yourselves will not be transparent. Okay.
Concerning board policy, second reading policy 903, public comment in board meetings. In regards to all that, my concern is the seemingly recent introduction of an actual board director playing two roles during a meeting of where at one point in time, the board director will be sitting behind the desk that I'm talking to. And at another moment is here in front of the mic. And of course, a board director is privileged. You're all privileged. You're privileged to information that I'm not privileged to. And so therefore you have the right to use and possibly even to abuse that information. The people sitting out there, we really can't see that line between use and abuse. Use and abuse. I don't know if you all care about that line. My guess would be that some of you really don't care about that line if it works for you in the moment. But some of us out there, I think, actually care about that line. And hopefully, as you work through this, you'll keep that issue in mind as the potential to both use and abuse the knowledge that only you have when that comes around, stands here and talks. And you guys know the fullness of what is being said by somebody who comes around and talks here, but we don't. And so therefore, we can more easily be deceived by the use and the abuse of the information than what you guys can. So hopefully you'll be concerned about the position that we are being put into by somebody who has, I guess, the right to come around and play both roles during a meeting.
Okay, if there is not any other comments, announcement of executive session. Mrs. Morton. There will be no executive session after this meeting, so this meeting is adjourned.
I would like to know.